is super frustrating because they have the same personnel, and they went from the number one 3-point shooting percentage team in the league last year to their number 29 right now. So
how you got Duncan and you got boy.
The thing is that the way that because of the financial situation they put themselves in with like signing Hassan Whiteside to real money and signing Dion Waiters to real money and never like having cap space, they had to kind of groom these G League players, and they're finding all these undrafted talents, and it's like a tenet of the organization. Like the captain of the team is Udonis Haslem.
Yeah,
he was undrafted. He's like the Heat culture captain, so it's something that they do within the organization. But the thing is, Udonis Haslem is such like to be like an NBA starter coming where he's from. He's a unicorn. With like guys like Max Strus and Duncan Robinson, like these are undrafted guys. They were undrafted for a reason. Like you cannot expect an undrafted person to, they're gonna shoot out of their mind for a couple seasons. Then the league is gonna get tape on them, and then real NBA players who study the scouting report, they're gonna be like, all right, I'm just not gonna let you put your feet where you want to put them.
I'm so hot that we started. I'm about to say I'm so hot. This first minute was like producers. You thought you could get some producing confident some conversation on that? No, we're gonna spend the next few hours just talking sports. Y'all can go produce and do whatever you want. No, I'm playing. Not somebody already. See, y'all started this. First of all, welcome to my guest, Craftmaster Production, CMP, the guy. We've been tapped in for quite some time, and it is an absolute pleasure to finally get you in here, and just glad to get you on the podcast to obviously discuss music and life. But I had to make sure that we started off there because we've been talking some of this shit since 2020. When a lot of things happened in 2020, man. Basketball
like
related. A few things happened in 2020, and I chose to wear this jersey.
I need you to relax.
Wait. I didn't even mention the pandemic. Like a lot of things happened, man. And
you've been advertising this as a chill conversation, and I come in here to hostility. You didn't treat Buddy from Everest College like this.
Oh man, because you know what? The next conversation may be like that because he's a Phoenix Sun fan.
Oh shit.
He for sure invited me. He said, "Hey man, when next time you come out to Phoenix, bro, get some tickets. Maybe like Suns versus Lakers." I said, "No, we need to mesh first before we go face your transformer ass team with how the hell you keep Ayton? How the hell you keep Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and you got Durant? Like it just seemed like one of them situations that's like too good to be true. I hope so, like Kodak Black said. But we could talk sports all day long, man, but I want to make sure that we center this conversation in on you. And could you give the people an introduction for those who may not be familiar with your platform, be familiar with the things that you do? And then, man, we can just get into this conversation because there's a lot of things I want to chop it up with you about.
Yeah, I appreciate you, bro. And before I start with that, I just want to say, like, it's very impressive how you've transitioned into the full-time stream game and doing it primarily on YouTube. I think that's we'll talk about that more later, but
definitely.
I think it's a good example for people in the space to see like the viability of streaming on YouTube, because folks instantly assume because Twitch throws so much money at advertising that's a super great place to start. But when you actually think about it, YouTube being the second largest search engine, and they're actually being fertile ground for discovery here.
Facts.
You know what I mean? So I you just provide an easier case for when somebody's like, hey, should I start streaming on Twitch? And I'm like, no, you should do it like Curtis. He's huge.
I appreciate that because I feel like it's funny because of all people to attribute that kind of mentality to, it's Nelly. Nelly had a line way back in the day. I never forget. I can't verbatim say what it was, but it was basically along the lines of when niggas had waves, and that's when I had braids, and when they had braids, and I look at it like not trying to be a contrarian, but looking at it like if everybody's on Twitch, and the people that I see that are at the highest levels of Twitch, like the Kai Cenats and the Gideons, all have complaints about the platform. not being fair to them. That's one wrinkle. And another one being, like you said, the advertisement format. The fact that YouTube is owned by Google, they've aligned themselves with a wolf that's going to give them play in the game. It feels like forever because of that kind of entity behind you. But that's not even what we can get into that later. I want the people to hyper focus in on you and what it is that you do for those who are new to the Craftmaster production experience.
So my name, I go by CMP. That stands for Craftmaster Productions, but Craftmaster Productions, I always envisioned it as, Craftmaster Productions, it actually started as a booking agency, right?
Wow.
But when I was doing rap shit, it was just trying to figure out how to be a part of bigger shows. And the little lick me and my buddy came up with, we were like, man, why don't we just start like booking artists? You know what I mean? So like we stepped out and like we booked like Tech Nine and the Hostile Takeover tour and like had that whole experience. And so that's where Craftmaster started. I got on YouTube. What I do now, right? Craftmaster Productions, tutorials, culture conversations on the YouTube channel, right? I like to stream. It's easy. You get the conversation with the people. It's awesome, right? I have a website called CMPKids.com, tools for producers.
Amazing, by the way. This ain't no commercial when I say this. Y'all saw the song I did about a year ago. I got a song called That Dog, and you had this saxophone sample that kind of reminded me of Sade. Cause I just went there one day and just like, you know what? I'm just gonna show massive support and just cop these. Like I'm just like anybody else out here. And we did a video or song live stream called That Dog, bro. Like your melodic composition, I don't even want to call them loops. Like your compositions make me feel like I'm actually tapping into and touching samples that I should be clearing.
Yeah, that pack the Mangrove Music Library, that's a very special pack. I worked with musicians that actually taught me enough about music so that I could program it. Like that Fire. Saxophone, that's my buddy Austin playing, my buddy Pablo's on the keys. So yeah, but CMP Kids, what we focus on right now is we're doing a lot of scalar products. We're doing a lot of ripcord products. Just basically with a focus on the sample maker, because where we are in the producer community is a lot of people want to create samples because it's a viable avenue to reach other producers who have placement opportunities, right? So that's the skill that everybody really wants to go with. So cmpkids.com, we just got this guy McCrazy doing the analog lab kits. Like if you're trying to get into like that Nardo Wick sound, where it's this this crazy dark texture, and he makes his presets so that you don't have to put portals and gross beats on it. You can just play the chords, and you're good to go. And that's kind of like what my whole vibe has been. It's just like simplify something that's hard and share it with the people. To that end, probably the thing that I'm the most proud of is a product called Sample Class, and that exists on producercourses.com.
Which, by the way, is in the description for those that want any of that information. It's sitting there in the description.
Yeah, producercourses.com is where you can find Sample Class. It's where I'm gonna put my Ableton course, and it's where I have my monthly subscription. Monthly subscription is awesome because it allows you to come into the Discord, and the people who I work with on the monthly subscription, because people ask me like, do you do one-on-one? No, I don't do one-on-one. Because if you got to pay me for one-on-one, you're gonna spend a lot more money than if you just pay the monthly subscription. And trust me,
people don't get that though, man. That's a valid point, in that once you open up Pandora's box, like once you go down the rabbit hole, you're gonna have more questions.
Yeah, dude, like my subscription service is $15 a month. You jump into the Discord, and all of my content is 100% user generated. So if you see me on YouTube, and you get the inkling where you're like, hey, I seen this video I like, let me ask Buddy I don't do requests on YouTube anymore.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm not doing requests on YouTube. Like, just, buy me a pizza, and then we could do whatever you want. And I have people in my Discord who, different things are kicking their ass. How do I, whatever you want to do, how do I mix my beats so they sound terrible like the other beat mixes on YouTube. I will show you how to make your music sound terrible like the type beats on YouTube. We'll break it down. We'll reverse engineer it. You want to, I had this run with this guy, my boy Caleb. He's the MVP, right? Mm-hmm. And he kept on asking me how to make like these Rilo Rodriguez and who's the big boy that always singing about his grandma and his buddy fucking girl
from Texas,
Rod Wave.
Okay, yeah.
These Rod Wave type beats, and I'm showing them exactly where to get the samples. I'm like, dude, here's a sample from the song. And they're like, well, I wonder how I could do it with VSTs. Okay, I'll show you how to do it with VSTs.
Right.
But that's how deep we go. But sample class, man. Sample class is my magnum opus. It's the thing that I am the most proud about. It's the tagline is cheesy. It's called From Chord to Composition to Cash, but it's really from chord to composition to cash. It's not just like
it's effective. People don't get that about taglines. It's like, does it properly represent what your business does? And it does.
Yeah, and I love alliteration. Like you'll notice that on all my stuff. But the thing about sample class, because there's a lot of different like composition classes that you could tap in with, right? The way that I show you how to get into the business of selling samples, right?
Right.
I can't teach you how to do something that I have never done, right? So the background on me is what have I done, right? Because I produce songs for Gunplay, but I'm not coming out like, oh, I'm MMG's in-house producer,
right.
that was then. What I've done and what I've continued to do is build a viable side business aside from I have a whole ass career.
Right.
I'm a grown ass man. You know what I'm saying? And then I have 3 side businesses, right?
Okay.
CMP Kids, the subscription site, and Sample Class, right? Boom. The way that I grew up, my dad was in the trades. He was a Marine. And the thing in that, what we always knew in the house was like, yo, you have to have a hustle. Like, yeah, you could go and make a little bit of money, at your job, but if you want to take the vacation, if you want to go to the dinner, mm-hmm. he had 3 kids, and all of us were wearing Jordans because on the weekends he was putting ACs on his truck and going installing them here, working behind his company's back.
Right.
So instead of making his hourly rate, he's making $7,000 on the job, and then I seen him split it in half equally with all of the people who were working with him, right? Which is something that isn't done. Like normally the guy who knows the most takes the most out of the pie.
They take the whole pie home almost. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I take that mentality. Craftmaster Productions. Now we've got 7 creators that work with us. Most of them, except for one, are sample class graduates who they see that they were like, because dude, not only do I show you how to make samples, right, and it's not just in the form of like, oh, dude, I show you how to take songs and interpolate them in an original way. I show you how to set up your templates. I show you how to use guitar pedals. I bought a guitar and I like documented how how to play struggle guitar. Like you don't need to know a lick of guitar, but I can show you how to fake your way through getting guitar melodies onto your samples, which is what a lot of these like very prolific sample makers that we all look up to that have these amazing placements and these amazing backs, like that's how they do it. I really, what I got notoriety on for a lot on YouTube was reverse engineering a lot of music. That's one of my skills, because the way I learned music was watching musicians.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I need to program velocities. I need to. So I show that. Not only do I show that, I show you how to make covers for your kits. I show you how to do the futuristic covers. I show you how to do the old-timey covers. On top of that, I show you how to set up your Shopify store. Do you know what I mean? The only thing that I don't show you is how to drive traffic to the store, because that's a very personal business philosophy. I don't want to go out here and be like, yo, you need a $7,000
one size fits all marketing campaign. I think that gets a lot of producers in problems, and that's something I've had to juggle with, is having people come to the YouTube and expecting this one size fits all approach to everything, when it's like, yo, do I need a lawyer? Well, it depends on your circumstances, what type of lawyer you're going to go to. It also depends on your state, what would be the most, affordable, or the best situation, which, by the way, I'm bringing an entertainment lawyer on here soon to answer some of these questions that I'm like, I am not your copyright guy. I'm not the guy that you want to go get information about probably one of the most important pieces to what you're doing. I wanted to rewind a little bit back to two things. One, about what you were just speaking about, in that's what I do appreciate so much about your content, is that these reverse engineering formats that you do are accurate as shit. Like, it's not I'm kind of finessing my way to it. It's like, no, you're giving it to where it's like, you shouldn't have any other questions after seeing this. This is exactly what you're going to get. And in the midst of that, an added bonus to this, and I think I would love an audience to answer this as I'm kind of unwrapping this. What is the most valuable thing that you get? For those of you that are already familiar with CMP and his format, what is the most valuable thing that you're getting from him at this moment? We're going to flow some of those on the screen, but I say this. What I love about your content is you're a straight shooter. As much as Curtis looks like look at the sirens going off. Shout out to the super chatters who are honestly donating on your behalf. I forgot I set this if this then what. I got sirens every time. Appreciate that. I appreciate that. I wasn't even coming in looking for that, man. I appreciate that. But what I love about your content, bro, is that not only is it straightforward, I get around with a lot. I get along with people who are straightforward. I don't get along with people who are like sugarcoaters. Even though I can sugarcoat some stuff, I can't be around people like me. They're gonna annoy the shit out of me. But I love folks that just tell it like it is. And then also too, I told you earlier off the camera, when you have a title that says how to capture this particular dark, I'm gonna just make a video, a dark Travis Scott type sound or Don Toliver sound, you're not just delivering on that. There's nuance involved in it. There's cultural nuance that helps folks in this space who may feel underrepresented or not even spoken to, like somebody speaking to them who understands them. And I that's something I greatly appreciate when watching your content, is that it feels like one of the homies is talking to me and giving me an explanation that doesn't get complex for the sake of complexity.
I appreciate that, bro. I'm in a different type of space for people who do what we do. And what I mean is that, I have a career outside of music, outside of YouTube, and that allows me, the freedom to just do whatever I want, and I don't care who watches it or who does it. I don't care to grow my channel. I look at it. I look at what we do as something that is very important and transformative to this culture, to hip hop culture. That's what I'm talking about, right?
I imagine it's a bit freeing too, right? With the content, knowing that you don't have to rely upon this for an income gives you almost like you playing with house money to a certain degree.
Dude, if I cut on the stream and I want to listen to a Raekwon song to warm up, right. I don't have to worry about fuck, this isn't gonna be monetized, bro.
I feel that. I feel that with all my heart.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, and I'm sorry for cussing on the stream, but
bro, I didn't already cuss 2 times. You fine. You fine.
To that end, though, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to be good, but
no, and it's just to give you a little bit of context with this music and life conversation. What I love so much about this is that, like when I had the homie Willie B on here a week and a half ago, he asked me the same question. I said, bro, it would be a disservice if they got a diet version of you because of monetization on the channel. This is where I feel like I feel like that's they people who are here and they're like, what the hell? These two light-skinned niggas is here together in the same place? I never expected this to happen. I want them to get the experience that says, you know what? I appreciate these conversations more because it's almost like he jumped into his platform and are you invited me to your platform, and they got the same one. So that's why I appreciate you being a straight shooter, because there's times that I listen to you and I'm like, I wish I could say it like that. I wish I could say it like that, but I just feel like I've already developed an environment sometimes where not that it's adults that can't take it, but a lot of folks immediately are like, that's so unlike you, Curtis.
Oh God. I mean, bro, like, you painted yourself in that corner, bro. So
I did. I'm not mad at nobody. I'm not mad at nobody. But you know what? I'm grateful about that though.
It could be worse. You could have a job.
I mean, yeah, you make a good point. But I don't
know what I'm saying?
But you know what?
You can have a job.
Let's talk about that though, because I'll be honest with you. When I first came into YouTube, I came into YouTube hot-headed, fam. Like, I came in here talking shit about, man, quit your job when you get a chance to, man. You gotta live your dreams. All of that motivational head-ass shit that I was doing earlier, because I thought that was a thing. As I have matured, as I'm now, like, I think when I got to YouTube, I was in my late 20s. Now that I'm, like, 38, I look at this and I'm like, I would not wish some parts of this journey on anybody voluntarily. If you have the opportunity to have a job that can pose as almost like an angel investor and you have that security, that is such a slept on strength and advantage that people with the 9-to-5 I feel have. And then when I just saw things like what's the brother from the Cosby Show that got shamed for working at Trader Joe's? I did a video about him. Remember that whole situation with the actor?
It's not Darius McQuay, is it? Oh no, wait, that's from Fan. Oh.
That was Eddie. That's Eddie Winslow, right? No, this is old boy from he played in the Cosby Show. Somebody in here knows the name. Elvie said Elvin. Mont Dog said Elvin. Yeah. Well, you know what I'm talking about. Basically, somebody pulled out a camera and shamed a man for making an honest living, and they're like, man, like, what happened to him? And thought that it was gonna go viral, and then ended up going against him, and you know, from there he ended up getting like a few movie deals. Not saying that was the blessing. I think the blessing was seeing the feedback from human beings who have changed their opinion about what it means to have a job, to support what you're doing. I always make the argument too, and I want to get your feedback on this, and that having a job, because I don't currently have a job, but I can imagine having a job at this point in time could relieve the stress of making music your job.
So it affords me complete and 100% autonomy to be my authentic self, and that's like the most important thing to me in life, period. Like, even from, like, you know, getting together with my wife, like the story of our first date, you know, the first question she asked me, she's like, so, you know, doing a fucking date question, she's like, so what is your flaw? And I looked her in the eye, I'm like, I'm extremely selfish with my time.
Wow.
You know, because I'm like, yo, I'm not, like, that's who I am. I'm not about to play with you. Like, I appreciate, you know, that we went to this dinner, so I'm not gonna waste your fucking time.
Right.
You know? But the thing about having a job, like, I'm very pro, like, men should work and get money. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, so I left high school. I had like a 75% scholarship, and I couldn't get into, like, University of Miami, but I went to, like, Miami-Dade College and signed up for their music production program so that I could, like, start building relationships and get into studios and stuff like that. And after I had already signed the papers and everything, I was like, man, fuck this. I want 1 year to, like, focus on rap, you know, and really like I need to be able to stay up as late as I can to go to these shows. And, you know, I got a politic, and it was crazy. Like, we had things that were, like, going on that when you're, like, 18 years old, it seems like a way bigger than it was. Like, we had 2 people that wanted to manage our group, and we were doing dub plates for, you know, VP Records, which is like a huge record label in Jamaica. and being in Florida, that's like a huge deal with with the Caribbean population.
For anybody, bro.
So, yeah. Well,
you operating in big business,
Some people don't know what VP Records is. It's a big fucking deal. We're working with we're doing dub plates for like Titanium Sound, and like they're playing our remixes in sound clashes in Jamaica.
Wow.
So this is at 18 years old, no internet. And like we're thinking like, yo, we got it. You know what I mean? Like this is about to happen. So, and the whole time, like, I was always that dude. Like, I read everything that you got to know about the music business. That's why I don't play that. Beat makers and producers are the same thing. Like, no, words matter. So. My old boy,
we got to unpack that at some point, but go ahead.
That was for you. Write that down, bro. So, but no, my old boy, he's like, listen, you know what I mean? Like, I can't watch you do this, dog. Like, you can work as hard as you want at this, but bro, you have got to get some money. Like, you just have to. You have to. You're a man in this world. You have to get some money because you are my son, and nobody's gonna be looking at you like you're a fucking loser, and you're not a loser. So even like this is the real talks that we're having. So this is how I was spoken to, and this is how I talk to everybody else. Like I got somebody who's in our collective. Who told me straight up, he's like, yo, one of the best things that that I ever heard you say in the course of your videos was like, you and MG were talking and you were talking about working, and you just straight up said like, bro, don't be a pussy, bro, like go and get a job and take care of your girl. That part. And he went and did that.
Wow.
Right?
That's impact, bro. That's impact. A lot of people sleep on with this responsibility being here,
bro. And then exactly, we have responsibility, dog. So and to this day, like I'm so proud of this dude because I seen him like go from like meandering, and then like he bucked up, and now he's making more like progress in his career. He switched from working in like hospitality. Now he's moving into the trade. He's got a second kid coming. Moved into a bigger house. Got better cars, and that's without like the CMP Kids money. And he's like super productive in CMP Kids. To me, that's bigger than any like record placement. You know what I mean?
Because, I agree.
Because you're really touching somebody's life, bro. And I've done it enough times that I could say that is like, that's what, that's why I still cut my camera on, and that's why and that's why I still talk like this, is because I've seen it hit people. And I know I'm not for everybody, bro. I'm not the positive guy. I cuss way too much for kids to be able to watch my channel. I've gotten the complaints. You know what I mean? But there, and that's what's interesting about the internet, when is that you can get in here and do content, and you can find your niche. And if you find your niche and you ride your niche, you can really make something out of your situation. But if you're one of these guys who you buy a random YouTube course and you're on Google Trends trying to chase the hot keyword, making the same video as everyone else, like it's not gonna work out for you. But
it becomes a glamorous job at that point, and that's something I had to realize. Like, bro, I had to make music a hobby again, and it snuck up on me in the illest way, because I was like, I'm a producer. I curate records. I do all the things above. I create the music. I make the executive decisions about the arrangement, the composition, all of that stuff. Like, I am doing that. This is what I'm doing. But I was spending, if you looked at it as a pie chart, I'm spending the majority of my time creating content, the majority of my time live streaming, the majority of my time doing like technical work for the website. And it's like, nah, dog, if you look directly at that, you would not define that as someone who's simply just a music producer. And so I had to have a real conversation with myself and recognize that the reason I can have so much fun in these live streams making beats is because I found a way to generate income in a business, and the medium is not necessarily off of my music, but it's off of my enjoyment of the music through a live stream. I couldn't have predicted it would work out like that. And I can't say that that's the same thing for everybody, but literally when these folks come in here and see me cook up for 4 hours, I'm not on any kind of marathon. I'm not on some kind of like watch time game, because Lord knows I wouldn't go hours without talking to my audience if it was about watch time. This literally feeds my soul. And if I stay on point here, it makes conversations like the one I'm having with you that much more rich. Conversations with my wife and my son are more rich because Dad has fed himself creatively, and that's kind of like what drives me on a regular basis is the ability to do that. But I think you make a lot of interesting points, man, and I just feel like it's needed, and I'm so glad that you're able to operate in this space with autonomy, because I would not want to die at CMP.
Well, and like, listen, I don't like talking like this, but if we don't do what I'm about to get into, nobody's gonna do it, bro. But nobody's gonna say it unless I say it, bro. But the way that our YouTube class transformed music has to be documented, because they do not talk about us correctly. You know what I mean?
Who was they? Just for context.
Just like, bro, like the community at the moment. You know what I mean? I see a lot of, because listen, I've researched. I do market research. That's one of the great things about having a music business where like, if you're curious, you can go and get in other people's courses and pay the $500, and it's like you write that shit off. But I go, like, anytime, like, for example, anytime somebody posts up like what's the best music Discord, I jump into all them Discords, and it's awesome because you get to see different age groups,
right,
and their vibes and stuff like that. See
where the interests are at, yeah.
And it's like it's like I see like a lot of like people, they'll disrespect people from our YouTube class. You know what I mean by our YouTube class? Like me, you, Av. Like
that era of YouTube.
Like we made all the first fucking videos.
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest criticism from that group?
It's this. It's not the criticism. It's just like they're omitting who showed them how to fucking turn their 808 onto cut itself. That's right.
That's real.
Then they went and made a channel teaching people how to turn their 808 on cut itself, and they want to look back and be like, oh, BusyWorks Beats is corny. Like, bro, without BusyWorks Beats, you don't know how to turn your 808 on cut itself.
Yeah. And I'll say a prime argument that I also want to add to that, and shout out to BusyWorks. For those that don't know, we had an opportunity to have an offline conversation that was a lot more productive than what you guys saw at the top of this year. Shout out to him, and the last thing I want to do is be in this space with other faces that look like mine and be at odds when we could have had simple conversations. Bro, I got so much love for Av, but me and Av have had more than enough moments. But I feel like that's what homies have to go through, like, to become friends. There's like a lot of my best of homies. Like, I talked to my homie the other day. I was like, bro, you remember we was about to fight over NBA Live? I was like, think about that. We about to fight over NBA Live, fist fight in the yard.
Real quick, Curtis, because I don't want to go away from this.
No, for sure. I don't want to stray off of it either.
Like, the proliferation of, because younger people, they won't have a concept of this, right? Because the information has always been free. But it was the whole reason why I have a YouTube channel, right? Because people come up now and they're like, yo, YouTube is viable to do X, Y, and Z and help me out. Mm-hmm. When I looked at YouTube, it was a fucking dare, bro. People I used to start my videos like this. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is
we all go through that era. I for sure the hell went through that era. Woo!
I was calling myself Concrete Zebra because it was a joke to me, bro.
Oh, you were playing it up is what you're saying. Oh, I did it for real. I for sure did it. Hey, it's Curtis King of CurtisKingBeats.com. Like, I for sure have my moments.
Dude, I'm in the truck with my boy. He's got a YouTube channel. He does rap shit on YouTube. We're getting ready to go to work. We're smoking, laughing, and he's just like, I'm like, dude, the game's so weird right now. I could probably make a YouTube channel and make more money than you. Call myself Concrete Zebra. And he was like, wow. You won't do it.
Wow.
And this dude was the type of dude where he would shoot a music video, like a rap music video, every week, and he had 2 kids, and a side bitch. And a wife, you know what I'm saying? This is my buddy since high school,
right.
And he was so inspiring to me with his work ethic. I was like, you know what, I this could be a cool outlet.
Yeah.
And I was lucky that I was a Studio One user, and there wasn't a lot of content for Studio One.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There was no content for Studio One. Nobody was making rap.
I didn't see anything else. Like you literally had that grapple hold that we always talk about with Busy and FL. Like, you just provided in a space that people were asking me, and I'm like, at that time I didn't know we didn't know each other, but you dominated that.
And bro, it's not like I wanted to. It's not like I bought Studio One for YouTube, and that's what I'm saying, right? Yeah. So in order for me to learn everything that I learned about Studio One, I'm just making videos from sections from the manual, bro. Like, and off of genuine like enthusiasm, just like, man, this program is so dope. This could probably help so many other people. Let me share it with you guys. It was from a genuine place of like, yo, I could probably make somebody who's not connecting with FL Studio that might be from like the tape era, and I could probably connect these dots for them. Bro, when you look back at like how countries industrialized, and you look at like, like how long it took England to build factories and the United States to build factories, and that was like 100 years. And then you look at how China turned up in the last 40. The reason why China was able to go from a farm, agrarian economy to like the world's manufacturing base was because the United States and England had already built all the factories and gave them the blueprint so that they could do it. What we did back in like 14, 15 at that era was the same thing, bro. It was a like a palatable learning explosion that made it so that literally anybody could make music. And that's what we did.
We did that, but you know how this goes, bro. You know how it goes, and I'm not saying this to go against your point, because I 1,000% agree with you, but especially when it's our culture, the pioneers always catch the arrows. Like we always catch them first arrows, and then the next generation of content creators or whatever they position themselves as, it's almost like we had to crawl so they can walk situation. And I'm sure there's some people before us who may feel the same way about, well, that wouldn't have been available had we not Ustreamed or not, been on MySpace with it or whatever the case may be. And I know we probably were both in some of these spaces, but you're right. And I wanted to close this loop. I wasn't trying to stray out, but I wanted to close this loop about Busy, is that regardless of what you feel, how I felt about him at one point, you cannot ignore the fact that when you place your feet here, he was one of the ones willing to share it. Whether or not you agreed with the final result, don't matter all the semantic, that doesn't matter. What matters is that those who were in a position to I'm gonna just use a name, like a Timberland. Those master classes didn't come until we were like 15 years deep in this. So
the master classes are ass.
Talk about it.
The master classes are ass.
I didn't see. I saw a portion of it, which was the beatboxing thing, but outside of that, I didn't see. I didn't have that experience.
Listen, spend the $80 on and go watch that Timberland class, bro.
I got Google ads. I gotta go up. I ain't playing.
listen. I'm gonna tell you what you're gonna see when you watch, because I watched it. I watched it, and it was just Timberland being like, this is how I make the kick bump. And then they pan to his engineer, and his engineer's like, yeah, he gets a little heavy on the EQ. I usually got to go and fix it. So if you understand what the fuck you're actually looking at, you're like, oh, okay, so Timberland don't know how to make a kick bump. And then you're like, oh, where's his wonky melodies? And he's got two German dudes like going nuts on the keyboard, and he's just like, yeah, because I'm a producer and I just listen.
not the chess field,
bro.
Because that's what it literally becomes. Is that, and that's always been my biggest critique. Not even to make it about just one person, but I could understand and see that is that the people that they're waiting, like. I notice even in my come up as an independent artist and producer, the people that I wanted the respect from or the support from didn't support until somebody that they thought was notable co-signed what I had going on. And I feel like in a lot of ways, because that generation of YouTube, what you're talking about, that 14, 15, there wasn't a whole lot of co-signage about the decision to be on YouTube as a producer. I got crucified from anybody that was attached to the Curtis King that was in the music industry. I got crucified for my decision to say, you know what, at this time where I could focus on nothing just except for myself, I need to pivot because I'm recognizing that literally the secret to giving is living. The secret to living is given, and I see the way this value structure works out. And so I came into the space looking to help people that I knew would never have access to 90% of the conversations that I've had sitting over here. And so I saw an opportunity to come here and share value. But bro, what I've noticed is that error, people were too busy getting over their own embarrassment of, oh, that space is not a real space. Those are not real producers. Those are people who couldn't make it, and all of the other shit that you would hear. And from somebody who came from a space where I came from, that world that they respected, it was almost like you had to go through a first initial phase of, you ain't gonna last long. You can't be giving out the secrets. The game is to be sold and not told. And I'm like, literally all I did was stick around and evolve, and so much of that shit died off. And now when you look up today, those very people that refused to share any information with you in those 14, 15 years that we were sharing stuff now have shown up. And like you said, for some of them, it ain't even quality shit. They just showing up on a very bare basis to tell you how to turn your DAW on.
No. Let's be clear, bro. I don't care whose it is. Them courses are bad, bro. They cannot hold a candle to sample class. Yeah. There's no. But here's the reason why, right? The reason why, and I dealt with this with learning how to make music from actual musicians, right? There's a disconnect from like we'll use Timberland and Scott Storch have pretty notable master classes, right? Timberland and Scott Storch are not DAW programmers, right? And we got to be comfortable calling ourselves what we are. You know what I mean?
That part.
If you're not playing instruments, you're not like really a musician. You know what I mean? If you're programming on a DAW, you're a programmer. You know what I mean? You're programming music. That's cool. Program music is lit. That's not everything isn't a personal attack. It's just we need to have definitions for words.
Yeah. Context matters for sure.
Yeah, and the thing is that somebody who came up making music in the 90s and the 2000s where you're not programming a computer, you're programming like a groove box, or in Scott Storch's case, you're playing live and somebody's recording it and looping it in Pro Tools. You know what I mean? You're not going to be able to bridge that gap and speak to the people who are programming music and be able to decode it, right? I'll give you an example.
Okay.
The first time I showed my buddy Pablo, who's playing like keys on the Mangrove stuff, and he's a phenomenal musician. I'm talking about like he can pick up a fretless bass.
Yeah.
With and just start playing Seinfeld. And not only that, like he'll be in the corner back there. We'll be having a conversation.
Hold on, we can't skip over this one. This is notorious in this community. As soon as you said Seinfeld and fretless bass, folks know I probably started twitching. That is my least favorite bass in the world. But continue. I'm sorry.
But what I'm saying is like an upright bass. It doesn't tell you where the notes are.
So the skill level it requires.
You gotta be nice, and not only will he play the Seinfeld joint, we'll be in the room talking, and he'll wait for he'll just stand on the bass, wait for somebody to make a joke, and then he'll hit it with the.
Hey, bro, that would literally be hell. Shout out to him. I'm sure he'll make me fall in love with some of the sounds of that. But damn it, that like slap bass from a keyboard in the 90s.
Yo, don't zoom in on that. Don't zoom in on that. So,
bro.
All of that is to say, like, he's that talented, that skilled. I showed him a piano roll.
Okay.
And he plays keys, but that's his first instrument. I showed him in a piano roll. I'm like, dude, don't you get this? And I'm like, dude, it's just 4/4 time. There's the quarter beats. He's like, shit's so weird. But musicians, they experience playing music so much differently than a programmer does.
Facts.
So if you're looking up to like somebody like Zaytoven, right? Zaytoven is never, I'm not gonna say never, but I would find it very surprising if Zaytoven could have like a comprehensive course, right? He's gonna get in front of the keys and he's gonna be like, man, I this is just me talking from my soul. I just move up and down the scale. He's practiced. He has the finger dexterity. And what we're gonna want to know is, what does it look like on the piano roll, right?
That's one simple thing that can be really quickly overlooked because that's not their focus.
Bro, that's not their focus. I remember when I was learning music and I would be calling Pablo up all the time. I figured out, I was reading music compositions books and I finally understood what a scale was. I had a Roland Phantom and I was like, hold on, wait a minute. From A to A is the minor scale and the intervals are constant. So hold on, if I take a pen and I put a piece of medical tape, above these keys, and I go and I start on A, and I go A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, and then I was like, oh my God, here are the chords. That's what they mean by 1, 4, 5. Wow. Ba 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 ba. So, and then I was like, hold on, I need to turn this into a prog deck. I need to call it scale tape. And I was like, nah, bro, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm going to show people, because all I gotta do is take this tape, turn it like this, and put it on the piano roll. And it's just like, I called him up. I'm like, dude, why? He's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, how could you not tell me what a scale was? Because my whole thing was, how do I know what notes sound good together? Why do you always know what note to play? There has to be a code. Yeah. No, there's no code. It's just a feeling. The way that they're taught is to interpret it through feeling. But if we're visual, we
can't be universal for visual, and some people are auditory. Some people are auditory, kinesthetic.
Exactly. So I can show you, a minor second interval and explain to you why that is how you program trap.
But see,
somebody who plays the piano, they're gonna sit here and they're gonna be like, well, a minor ninth, but a minor second.
You're gonna talk over my head.
Yeah.
And see, that's what I want to add to that, and I think this is a really good place because, that's always my critique as a instructor and a teacher that actually gives a shit about the things that I'm teaching about. I know it's the same thing with you. I noticed that by the free content, right? And that when you're doing these videos, you're giving so much detail because you understand that it's more than me just showing you what it looks like on a piano roll. That's one level of it, right? That's what we hope you do at an entry level. It's also, but why do you do the snares like that? Why do you pitch down the hi-hat rolls? What kind of effect does that create? And I think that the inability to explain that is a very hidden weakness of folks who are in these elite positions. And when they get in this space and start to teach what we don't think, I think of it now consciously, I think as a producer community, is that the same way that when Jordan won his first championship, he was a better championship player by championship 2, by championship 3. These people they're having to improve if it's a conscious decision in real time. So you may be getting an instructor who's, like you said, the course by Timberland was you said it was terrible. Like, we need to see that after 3 or 4 tries to see, do you improve with that? But we don't ever get that chance because people take them at face value because of their placements. Like me sitting here watching people take advice from certain producers because they got placements on crypto, you deserve to get your money taken away from you.
Oh God!
Getting marriage advice from a producer because he produced for one of your favorite artists is a terrible bar to set for yourself.
I don't know what we're talking about right now, but this sounds terrible.
No, well, I'm basically saying that when folks of influence come into our space, they're automatically met with a level of trust that we have to gain through 200, 300, 400 videos of high quality stuff. folks that come into the space, bro, like they'll have hella placements and be hella influential, and the moment they show up in cough, people are like, oh my god, that cough, man, just the low end on that was just amazing. And I feel like when they get into the course space, like you're into, like I'm into, they're held to such a low bar that people walk away from there excited that they just talked to them in a course and feel like it was a win for $500-$600.
Bro, super low bar.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm telling you, bro. All of them famous people courses. I would challenge anybody to just let me know, what did you learn from the famous person course that you didn't know already. Because if you're into watching courses, that means that you like consuming music content. And if you like consuming music content, you probably watch 2 or 3 videos a day. You're probably the kind of person who watches a video before you cook up. Like me, like bro, like I don't know, like my new shit.
Yeah,
I completely I unfollowed all of y'all on my YouTube, and it's
which is a healthy decision. But why did you do it?
Well,
and I got a follow-up question here from Adrenaline Beats, which I think you're gonna have fun with. But go ahead.
Well, I wanted to make music again. I didn't want to make content anymore. I want you know, and when you make content, you know, you want to check out what other people are doing. Like it's normal. Like, oh, you know, this is I tell you what's awesome about what the new crop of YouTubers are doing, bro. Their visuals are so cool, man. Like how how they're doing their breakdowns, and they got like the waveform, and you know it's like the, you know, the way that we did it. It's like show your piano roll and talk through it, but they have a command of communicating.
It's a story now
that breaks, you know, it's very straightforward. And because they all have like a similar skill level, you know, they know like, hey, I don't need to show you clicking all this in. Let me just provide the, you know, the concept with a visual cue and talk you through it. Like if you watch some newer tutorials, you'll pick up on that. What was the question from Buddy though?
So, oh boy asks, Adrenaline B said, are courses cap? Very straightforward question.
Are courses capped?
In general. So he's listening to the dialogue that we're talking about, and obviously you have a course, and that's what I love about having this conversation with you, is that I knew this question was directly for you, because there is, obviously there's a level of that no matter where you go, but I think there's a separation that's easy to tell, for me at least, when I'm just reading through the copy of a product.
But that's because you're a copywriter. A lot, and the reason why copy exists is because it manipulates people. You know what I'm saying? So, like whatever, we do it because we're hustlers and we're out to get this fucking money. You know what I'm saying? You know, I want to speak for you, but
no. Well, I'll just say this. You know, I've had many different definitions of it. I've had somebody who even went as far as to say, well, manipulation is just a part of life. It's what it's what your mama did when she, you know, told you to take this medicine, but you didn't know it was medicine. You thought it was candy. And it's like, at some level, you can kind of understand that logic, but then there's a part of me that still kind of felt like, ew. What I recognize is that the people who already know your value, the people who are meeting you at your landing page, who have already seen the tremendous value that you've given, the copy isn't for them. Yeah. The copy is for the people who are just glancing, perusing up and down a page, and it's to catch them with words. And I feel like you should have that ability as a producer who is telling stories to get the most out of your retention. I feel like music now is becoming a retention game. When you see songs getting shorter, we're having to ask questions that we ask about YouTube videos. Is this a sour spot in this 30-second portion that I now need to approach differently? And so when I look at copy, bro, I look at it, I'm like, first of all, the thing I want to push forward now, like, I understand there's laws of copy, but there's a part of me that's like, but bro, that doesn't even sound black. Like, it doesn't sound like me. It don't sound like Curtis King at all.
Yeah, but let's not do copy talk.
I'm just saying in general to answer that part of the conversation. Go ahead.
But are courses capped? No, courses aren't capped. But courses are only as good as the person who's instructing you, right? So like when I like if I was to look for a course, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was something I would want to learn. What I would want to know is does this person who is instructing this, do they have a command of the subject that they are teaching, right?
That part.
And what are the claims, right? So like if you go to producercourses.com/sample class and you read my copy, what I'm telling you is like, hey bro, here's a link to CMP Kids, right? Here's a link to my wall of synths. You're a producer, right? You want a bunch of fucking synths? You want a bunch of guitar pedals?
And you're saying this. That's what I respect. You're saying this in the copy.
You want to be able to buy plugins frivolously, legit, and not give your computer aids? I can show you how to do that because that's what I did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I've got the Prophet 10 right here, bro. This shit was 5 bands. It was no sweat. Like if that's what you want, I can show you how to do that. I'm not gonna say like, yo, I could turn you into the next Moulin and you're definitely gonna get a Travis Scott placement.
And people offer promises like that on a daily basis. If you follow any ads on Instagram, if you follow anything that you go to, that is the front face. They're relying upon your gullibility, right? So whenever I hear somebody say courses are cap, I can almost guarantee you probably bought 2 of them, went through half of one of them, and then the other one you were just like, no, all courses are capped. Like I can just tell by the mentality. Like when I consume. Also, one last thing I'll say, and I want to pass it to you, but what I say about courses, it may take me. This is why I love Skillshare so much. It may take me 12 courses before I get to that one idea or thought that I needed in terms of transitions and editing for my GH5. It may take a bunch of those, but I understand that if I have to make that investment for 6 courses to get to that, it's all well worth it because of that 1 million idea. So I don't look at it as a waste of money when I'm buying courses, but that's me. I'm one side of that. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, the way that somebody could approach courses is, I'm looking for a streamlined source of information on a subject that I want to learn about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking up like how do I, and also look at what the people are doing, right? Like if you're looking up like for example, like we're picking on Timberland's masterclass, right? If you're looking up Timberland's masterclass, what are you trying to learn going into Timberland's masterclass, right?
Yeah.
Are you trying to learn how to make Timberland type beats? Do you think that Timberland is going to be remaking Are You That Somebody? Check the syllabus. If you don't see him remaking Are You That Somebody, save the $80. If you're trying to take the Alchemist sample class, how to sample thing that just came out.
Have you taken that, by the way? Or did you check it out?
I can't do it anymore, bro. I can't get these people any more of my money because I know what's gonna happen. And it's just like, bro, like, do you really think that he's gonna show you how to find his samples when his whole existence is based on finding these samples?
Like, does he really want to create competitors? And that's the question I have for anybody who comes from a space where they're still actively seeking out real estate on these albums. Do they really want to give you all of the quote unquote sauce? I came to YouTube and I recognized something, and maybe we disagree on it. That's why I have you on here, because there's some things that we don't see eye to eye on, but I love the fact that you're able to articulate your POV on it. But I came to YouTube and recognized all of that secret shit is bullshit. All of that secret sauce is just stuff that if you would have looked long enough, you don't need new answers. You need to clear the lens in front of your own eyes. And so when I started, okay, well, when we talk about, you said, give you an example. So like we talk about certain software, we talk about 808 slides, right? We talk about like a Wonder Girl. I saw a video that was talking about the secrets to how to slide like Wonder Girl. And I'm like, if you were to sit with a Wonder Girl beat, play it in half the time and listen, even take it up a few pitches, listen to every single key, you could follow the patterns, you could follow the keys. But I think a lot of people pose these things as like, nah, you have to be in a room with Wonder Girl in order to have the exact thing. And I think that a lot of people push that off in this space as their front facing value with their courses. These folks we're talking about, the influential ones, they come into this space and people are like, I trust you because look at all the records you did. You must be trustworthy when it comes to the teaching and information. And I just feel like once again, it comes back to that bar that people set.
Yeah, I mean the thing about like bro, like I don't get so much frustrated with the cachet and the trust that those people have automatically with the audience, because I feel that they earned it. You know what I mean? Like I don't ever want to go and look at these like legendary careers that these guys have had and be like, yo, me and you were the same, because we're not. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like they got music that gets played during weddings. You know what I mean? So they've they've earned that.
Definitely.
However, in the same breath, I will say that in the offerings that have been shown up until this point, I've as a fan, I have been disappointed. Yeah. Because and it's not through any fault of their own. It just made me realize my own value in that. Hey, you're talking to myself, what makes what you do special is you are able to connect the mystery of musical ideas and translate them so that a young DAW programmer, beat maker can execute them and feel that rush and improve their music and go on their journey. And I think that I think that's a good place to be. Well, you know what I'm saying?
Can I play devil's advocate on this? And this is just me giving you your roses. For the amount of time that you have been putting out content, high quality content, I look back on the channel and saw like videos that I had from my watch history that are 6 and 7 years ago that are still providing value to this day. Although you definitely made a great argument for why these influential folks, I guess, have earned a certain level of trust from the audience, I wonder if you're giving yourself that same grace for the amount of work that you put in when somebody is coming to you at year, I don't know how many years you've been in this, but like say it's year 8 and they're asking you, what are your credentials to speak to me about the things that you're trying to teach me? That's where I have an issue with it, because I'm like, I see both sides of it, and I recognize that individuals like yourself, individuals like myself that have sat up here and created content are giving so much and for so long of a time without hidden agendas, that the folks that come in here, they literally come on and say, this is how you turn on FL Studio. Oh my gosh, that's the problem with YouTube producers. They don't ever give us this kind of sauce. And it's like when, you know what I'm saying? When I look at what you're doing, I'm like, bro, you have archives of giving this kind of content and you have led people the right way. You got success stories based upon your ability to articulate yourself, teach, and get down from all of the BS. So I'm like, do you give yourself that same, should people give you that same grace? And in my opinion, hell yeah. Like, I feel like that respect you have earned as well.
Curtis, I got 1,200 videos on YouTube.
Sheesh.
I've got 900 on my subscription site.
Yeah.
And then sample class is like 6.5 hours worth of content. I've done a lot of instruction.
Right.
A lot of instruction, and I've helped people get better at composing music, at mixing music. Mm-hmm. I know that I have. Even at that, I have and this is where I've always been different as a even like back when I was rapping, like I have such a respect and a reverence for hit makers. Not like in a super fanny way.
Sure.
But like just, I mean, bro, like even like on a spiritual level, bro, like these motherfuckers put together samples in a way that vibrates the air, that provided joy for generations, made timeless music, you know what I mean? And I personally can make it okay with myself to where, because I mean, I have people that were in my Discord, they couldn't wait to see they couldn't wait to see the Timberland masterclass. And then when I watched the Timberland masterclass, he's got his push the same way, set up the same way that I showed everybody how to set up their push 2 years ago, bro. And I'm not saying that he stole it from me,
right?
But, or anything like that, but whoever set up his push,
yeah,
because I mean, like,
we know there's other folks in the room for sure.
They might have seen some things, and that's fine. I don't need somebody, like, I don't need every time somebody uses a technique of mine
to give credit,
not a technique of mine, but to be like, yo, this is where it came from. But you just got to be okay with it, bro. You got to be okay with it because at the end of the day, for whatever the reason is, we didn't make the songs that got played at the weddings. You know what I'm saying? And it's just,
well,
that connection.
I get that. But here's what I'm on.
So how can I sit here and be like, you know what? I feel like I should be the same as them.
Not even that. No, I'm not even asking for any kind, because I know that society is not ready to have that conversation at large, because they're barely ready to have the conversation of producers, even as hit makers, being those that have a viable brand or have a brand that they can follow, and they're barely understanding the importance of someone's sound to what's going on outside of a producer tag. Just talking about the regular consumer, right? But what I'm saying is, at some point in time, I want to see to it that even if it's not my generation, the folks who come into this space and provide value that not only rivals, but sometimes is better, or even sometimes that influences these people who get on stage and win Grammys, and they say, man, I was just a kid that was in my room making beats, looking at YouTube tutorials. Yeah, we can give all the credit in the world, but I feel like they've been given that. They've earned that, right? But I also think that there needs to be reserved space for the folks who are taking the time out of. You don't have to do this, CMP. You got a 9 to 5. I mean, you got your job. You are well taken care of. You got all the equipment. You got all that stuff. You ain't got to. You know what I'm saying? I don't say you got to worry in the world, but you are taken care of. You volunteer your time, and you're teaching people skills that are not only able to apply in music, but they're transferable to fucking life.
True.
And I'm saying that just because maybe you don't have the songs, or I don't have the songs that are played at weddings, I don't think that discounts our impact, because I feel like our impact, it blew my mind when I went to paid dues years and years, the biggest hip hop festival at the time, and I saw Lil B on stage, and I'm just like, at that time I was falling into it. I was like, bro, this is so funny watching everybody get so pissed off about him. I fell into the movement. I'm watching him perform. Years later, he's starting to become a producer. He says the first videos I started to watch were your videos, Curtis. And we get on the phone. The first conversation I'm having with Lil B is about music production. And I'm like, I know you've met some of the greatest music producers in the world, just literally being who you are and them having access to what you do. I just know that those experiences happen. Long Beach Griffey, right? Very controversial comedian. He learned how to count 16 bars, he told me, from watching a YouTube video. So when I see these kind of things, those are just the ones that I was told about. It doesn't mean I have an inflated ego about it. It means that I'm looking at it and I'm like, yeah, you got to respect the hit makers for what they do, because they change the landscape for all of us. There's a trickle-down effect of that. However, I don't like the idea of this being the minor leagues and that being the major leagues, because I feel like we're doing things that affect every industry, because it's public, it's free, it's accessible for anyone here. And I don't know, I think that's just where my passion lies, is like, I love being able to bring you in here for an interview, as opposed to somebody that, got hella credits and they're popping off right now. And these folks reach out to me and we'll have conversations eventually. But to me, this one is more important, because I look at you and I'm like, you're someone that cares about the teaching. That's not to say that they don't care, but you're somebody who's invested the time and the proof of that through what you do and the prices and everything that you're asking for it. Like, you've shown the value for free. So I just like to give the roses for folks like yourself, man.
Listen, and you're on point, and I don't, in short, I don't agree with that idea.
Okay.
But I want to go back to what I was saying in the beginning, right? So our class of YouTube creators, like we revolutionized music in that we made it so that anybody can program their musical ideas and do it at a level that is higher than has ever been possible. Like I'm talking about, and this is gonna sound weird to some people in the chat, but I'm talking about people that don't got no business making music. And what I mean by that, like people with no rhythm. Like you ever no, but you
it's
see
true.
it, bro.
It's
like,
true. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Like you ever see somebody play their beat video and the beat's all like ba-doom boom, but they're all
you can't
like,
see me right now, but I'm emulating that right now, and it's they can't find a snare.
Or they do this move, but it comes before the one, you know, clapping on the threes and shit. So, but we made it so that and now you have to push, and now there has to be a narrative by voices in the community. It's like, you know, the great thing about technology is that it allowed people who have a passion for music but might not necessarily have music talent, they could participate in the space. No, motherfucker, it wasn't because of the technology. Technology was the vehicle. It was the people who stepped up and removed the technological barrier from the artistic idea and made it so that the person who has the artistic idea could interface with the technology and bring that idea to life.
I love
Image Line was not doing that, bro.
No, and even with my debacle with them, like I still had the same. I still feel like so much of the pirating that they oppose and so much of the energy that it felt like was pointed specifically towards the hip-hop demographic, even though I know we weren't the only ones pirating that program, right? I have folks that do EDM, folks who just getting from being a DJ into making beats who were pirating the same program because they figured out whatever. But I always said that if they did things that felt like they were tapped in with the community, like very simple things, like having, and they're doing a lot of that stuff now, so shout out to them, but having,
but not too much on them, bro.
But I want to make this point though. I want to make sure I bring it all home. Is the fact that what I'm saying is that they were out of touch with what the consumer wanted, and the consumer felt no kind of loyalty to them. And I see that the things that it seems like our culture feels the loyalty to is the things like when we look at hardware. Like I look at folks who are like, they will invest every piece of whatever to protect their hardware, to improve upon it, to experiment things. Like that's what's done because you feel like that is a part of you. You feel like it's reaching out and talking to you. And I think that that's an important factor that we can't negate.
No, absolutely. But back to us, like this class, like because it goes into like your idea of like what you don't like about how, you know, people who are making records are majors and you feel like people view us as the minor leagues, bro. Like I don't even think, in my opinion, I think the way that collectively content creators look at it as like they've got it fucked up. You know what I'm saying?
What do you mean?
We're just not in the same game at all. So there's no
I
like
agree.
so
Yeah.
so like I can't this is how I think about it. I can't be minor league if we're not playing the same game. If somebody from the so-called major leagues looks at what we're doing and they're like, "Oh, we're in the minor leagues." Like, no, bro, we're not fucking playing.
It's a different ecosystem entirely.
We're not playing the same game. What we did is we raised the collective, like, producer community level of knowledge and technical proficiency, right, to such a level that now you have so many productive artists and musicians, beat makers, producers, that there's 7 people on every single song. You know what I'm saying? Just because there's so many of us, and it's provided more opportunities. And the thing is, it was necessary, because because we focus in on rap, but if we zoom out for a second and we look at things like the content explosion, right? You look at all these different studios that have streaming services, bro. A lot of people who watch our stuff, they're not even trying to place rap beats, bro. They're making the beats for ESPN, bro. They're making the beats for Netflix. You know, all these they're working on this stuff. There's a whole group of like composer YouTube now, who's teaching people how to score with with cheap contact libraries and stuff, and they're in these spaces where they're getting ready to do that, and that kind of content wasn't available until I think people like Dave Pensado inspired us to be like, yo, Dave Pensado is showing what he knows. I don't know what Dave Pensado knows, but I know like a couple of tricks that I could share with my community, and help them out, because we looked up to him and we were like, yo, his reference for all mixes is "I'm a Thug" by Trick Daddy. Yeah, dude, I want to be like him, bro.
Right. Which is a classic. Which is one of my favorites. That's funny you mentioned that. It's one of my favorites.
But you understand what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, bro.
So that's why if anybody was to like those ideas, those comments and that narrative, I think that narrative is just so is so irrelevant, and we need to stop feeding into it, because those guys, you know what I mean, the people who produce in the industry and made the classics that get played at the weddings and the graduations, they did something that we couldn't do, and at the same time we did something that they couldn't do.
But and I think that probably represents the majority, but when I look and I see the talent that is here, the talent that you have, I don't believe it's something that you could not do. I feel like at some level, and let me speak for myself, I don't look at it as something that I could not do. I think it's something that I made the decision. I know it's something I made the decision that I would not do if this is the amount of ass kissing that I have to do, if this is the nature of politicking I have to do, if I have to go and ask somebody else when I get paid. There's so many other variables to it. And I get you. There's a lot of people who found success here who would have no business in that other ecosystem and would fail in that space. But I think that there is a class of us that have immaculate skill. I absolutely put you in that. That if you put us, Jay-Z said, put me anywhere on God's green earth, I'm going to triple my worth. I really feel like if you place us in these situations, we would have that. The thing that I valued, and you used this word earlier, is autonomy. And I did not feel like the same autonomy was afforded to me in that other ecosystem, at least not the way that I was going about it. And in this space, I found the opportunity to make the music that I wanted to make, and not what was deemed appropriate for making hits or appropriate for not stepping on people's toes and all this extra dash shit that I was just like, I made a conscious decision at the height of my career, or the getting ready to rise. And then I said, you know what? I can work whatever hours I want to work here. I don't have to worry about these late night sessions with artists that I don't really like their music, but you got to shake hands, you got to kiss babies and all of that. I can literally determine the lifestyle I want. And I read this in a book by Tim Ferriss called 4 Hour Work Week, where he says, don't choose your career. He says, choose the lifestyle you want first. And at the time, nobody else was talking like this, at least with the production space. But I look at it, I'm like, bro, you could easily, the shit that I've seen and the access you have to musicians, you could easily be in any of these situations. I just feel like we make the decisions at some level that fit our personality, and I don't think every personality type could make it. I think that's another factor that we gotta put in there. But I just have so much respect for what we do.
No, and I do too. But here's where I kind of look at it different than you, because everything that you're saying is real. I went through a similar situation in studios down here. And when you think about it, because Curtis, it's not about what you could do on the DAW. It's not about, I mean, take it away from music, basketball, you know what I mean? There's plenty of players, in the G who could be on an NBA roster. I mean, look at the fucking kid who was on the end of the Nets bench, and as soon as Kevin Durant got traded.
Oh, he been going
he's
off.
putting up 40 bombs.
That's not Cam. What is
you know who I'm talking
about? I know you're talking about. I don't think it's not Cam Thomas, but yeah, I know who you're talking about. But they is it Cam Thomas? Okay, he not afforded the opportunity, but yeah.
So and how many guys are that if they were just to let able to shoot free on a team, like imagine if Jimmer Fredette got to the league after Steph Curry.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like just stuff like that, right? We could do that thought experiment all day, and like I don't think that I'm any like less talented than than people making records. But here's the thing: in order to be in those positions, like you just touched on it, there is a certain set of sacrifices that I don't separate the two from the music. You know what I mean? Like
I get what you're saying. Yeah,
you have to do the music, and then you have to do the time thing. Like you just have to. That is the way that business
absolutely
is set up. And I'm not the kind of person. I'm a huge fan of capitalism. I'm a huge fan of like everything ain't for everybody. But get it how you live it. And if that path isn't for you, and you make the decision like, like this path isn't for me, that's okay. But what we can't do is say like, well, I made the decision, the path wasn't for me, but I want the same vibes that they get. Like, nah, bro.
Oh no,
like,
and hopefully I wasn't relaying that through. That's what I'm expecting. I'm saying that we have to. I think the original point was that we have to fight so consistently, or we have to remind people of our value on such a consistent basis. And I think one of the luxuries that people come into this space with those hits and those placements is that people automatically say, this person not only knows what they're talking about with music production, but anything they talk about, it's got to be legit, because look at who they worked with. And I don't understand that level of fandom. That maybe I would with like. Yeah, I do. As a Laker fan, no matter how far we fall into the standings, I still got a belief that we're gonna come back and we're gonna be in that play-in and do all of that. So it's super fandom, but for me, seeing it from both sides, I recognize what the value of someone who has come into this space and done the due diligence that other folks were not willing to do. And so if you chose to do that through Studio One, I look at you as a rock star. I look at you as somebody that. You remember the person that taught you how to ride a bike. You remember the person that taught you how to tie your shoes, right? Most of us do, because of how impactful that was. And I'm telling you, we're doing this on a regular basis. And the beauty of it is that these are not records that were special moments in our career. These are videos that are evergreen and that live on further than what we're going to be here, God willing.
Yeah, and that's a huge part of my vibe. Like I'm very intentional now with like what I want to put out, what I want to talk about, and because it's canon, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like as long as YouTube is a site, all of this stuff is documented. So just to your point, like yeah, they get the trust and everything, but bro, like they also their work is also published the same next to ours. And if people go and get it and they don't get the same value, and it doesn't enhance in the application of the knowledge that they're retaining, that's there forever too. You know what I mean? So this is a long game, and it's like the inverse of the music industry, right? The music industry, you grind your ass off for 10 years, you finally get your opportunity, you get your name recognition, you get your placements, everybody loves you, and then you try to figure out how to diversify your income because you realize there's no money in that shit anyway, right? And then you try to go get money on the internet. So I'm sorry.
I was over here looking at the comments, and that flew right by me. But yeah, I caught the tail end of that.
But the point is, like our journey is on the inverse. We we get on YouTube, people see our face, people get the connection with us, you know, and we have, and you know, we can show them everything that we know, but it's not gonna be until we have that end decade of content, and we're close, bro. Like, I've been here 7 years, but how long you been here? 7 or 8?
Sheesh, since 2013, I think. 13, okay, so that's 7. That's almost 10. Damn, that's 10 years.
You're at your decade, bro. Like once there's that decade of content, and somebody can come back and look at it, and they're like, damn, Curtis got 2,000 videos. Yeah. You know, oh my God, he was really showing motherfuckers how to cut their 808 back in 2013. I didn't even know how to cut my 808. My shits were going.
You got Carfax. Like it's almost like you got more history on it.
Yeah, it's there forever, and that narrative is gonna come around, because you know, you're not out here charging $80 to tell people that to get your drums to hit harder, you give them to an engineer to mix them. So that's why I'm more comfortable with this, because bro, I seen it happen with Palace, bro.
Man,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
situations.
MG told everybody what was gonna happen.
Yeah,
he told them. He said, yo, he was just wrong with who he was stealing from. Like, he was like all that shit's Electo shit. I'm like he's like, nah, I'm telling you.
Hey, you know what's fun? Not to cut you off, but
hold on, let me finish. Go ahead. And it wound up being Gunboy. You know what I'm saying? And in the moment, Curtis, the producer community was like, oh, y'all are old, y'all are washed, pop. I got fucking, dude, I'm getting random phone calls from like JW Lucas being like, yo, should we fight? Like,
this guy,
y'all are always so down on the young people, and we're like, nah, bro, fucking seen this movie before, bro. Like, there's you know, you could tell who the guy is, you know, you could just know how this is gonna pan out. It's just, you know, seeing the different generations of it. Called it winds up happening, and then, you know, some people who make content, you know, they won't come back and say it, but you know, I've pushed a couple people who like reported on that situation. I'm like, you remember? Oh yeah, no, you guys,
you were spot on about that one.
You were early on that one.
Oh man, no, and that's why, like, I'm glad there's a space now, and I feel like this is the evolution of online producer content, where like every thriving industry. And I hate to compare, like, shout out to Weaver Beats, he's in here right now, but I hate to compare this segment to, like, y'all are not media takeout. That's not what I'm getting at. But there needs to be a pocket where folks are having like barbershop conversations about what's happening. And I feel like you have been a part of spaces like that. You have a space like that where you're like, look, we can talk this shit right here, but we need to talk about this as well. And I think for a long time, there was sort of a protection, a shield that YouTube producers felt around them. And the reason why they were getting away with a lot of shit was because they felt like, I can get away with a lot of shit and nobody's going to call me on it, or that your platform's not going to be big enough to draw attention to it. And as you mentioned, Palace, one funny thing I was going to mention about that is that when you're talking about the producers who are hitting on the wrong beat and they can't dance to their own shit, he was doing that to some of them samples, which I thought was hilarious. I think Weaver B brought that up. But we need to have a space where there's accountability, or you will have folks in here who are dictators in this shit, and will create an even more toxic environment than some of us have experienced when in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, what I learned from like watching situations like that is just it was very eye-opening to, like, you know, the new people who were coming into, you know, not necessarily hip hop culture, but like beat programming culture, mistaking it for hip hop culture, and what, you know, what their values are, and you know, what they hold in esteem, and what motivates them, and pretty much, you know, for this current generation, you know, it's all about that perception of success. Like any perceived success in the music industry is gonna pretty much trump anything, but that's for a certain group of people. But the thing is, Curtis, like, you can't cast pearls before swine, bro. And I'm not even like,
I get you,
Christy like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just can't digest it. And the thing about being on YouTube is you blast a message and you can't control who sees it. So
true.
there's gonna be people who are diametrically opposed to your ideologies. You know what I mean? Like bro, if you like, dude, if you got in here like talking about like some of like conversations we've had, you know, about cultural shit, and some like the authors that you know that you,
bro. I look. I'll tell you this.
You might scare away.
I did this week. I had a conversation with shout out to Babatuna, the Everest College guy. And I looked at my YouTube, and it'll give me updates when I lose like a lot of subscribers. That conversation lost like 24 subscribers off the channel. And I noticed, I was like, what's the difference? Oh, we had a conversation that was aside from music that helped you to see more layers of who I am. And I look at that and I'm like, I'm not the type person that's like, oh, we got to do damage control. I'm the type person that's like, we're getting somewhere. Because now we're getting rid of the wrong folks in the environment. Now we're able to say this is an environment where people are here because they actually rock with who you are and what you represent and not their idea. And I'm sure there's more people today who would probably have a certain feeling. They're probably mad because I'm not, you know, why you got to be so mean, CMP? Not understanding. I'm like, we need more of that energy. You need to be called on your shit.
So I know that there's people in here with YouTube channels that or that want to be content creators. And what I'm gonna tell you guys is you will never get more satisfaction out of cultivating a following of the right people. Right. So I've got, you know, 29.9K subs, right? You know what I'm saying? Almost at 30, bro. Like, and I've never been like, yo, I need to really like. I mean, you even give me game, and you see, I still ain't fixed my thumbnail, bro. Because
you've been working, bro. You've been working on it though. Like, and I have to realize too, like, I hate stepping on people's toes when they got their own plan. Because I don't want nobody to do that shit to me.
No, but you're not. It's just that you know, there's just something about doing stuff the way that, you know, it's supposed to be done that just makes me, I gotta do something else. You know, he said I should put my face. Well, I'm gonna put Victor Oladipo's face.
Well, you got autonomy though. That's one thing I didn't realize, and I should have asked for more context. But I'm looking at it and I'm like, if I was in that position, first of all, I wouldn't care about half the shit I care about. I care about it only because I recognize that what happens in this environment is very important to the success of my products, the success of my mentorship, because this is the place that most people have found me first, if not through my stuff with TDE and all of that stuff. So in recognizing that, I know that I must put my best foot forward in what I'm doing. And not saying that you don't. I just think that you have a style that no matter where you land, it's going to be your style. So who am I to come in there and say I got the magic formula? Like, no, I heard of you because of you doing what you did. You don't need my fucking help for that, right? But when I see something, there's a part of me that's like, maybe it's a try hard energy. I don't know what it is, but Robbie, I just want to see and I want to help.
Nah, don't get me fucked up, bro. Like, I appreciate that stuff. I still got that note. I'm like, yo, this is right on title from now on, bro. We're doing this. But the thing is, bro, like, to the people that are watching who want to like have their own channels and stuff, like having a bunch of people in your subs and having a bunch of views, it's not nearly as cool as like going onto your site and then being like, hold on, wait, who just bought my whole store?
Man, that's just
hold
wild.
On, wait,
yeah.
Nah, bro, he did not just buy my whole store.
That part.
You know what I mean? Like, or like you see a comment and it's like, it's from Carlos Brody.
Like, what?
And you're like Carlos Brody. Carlos 6 July Brody.
Yeah.
Like, and younger people ain't gonna understand that, but like, that's the dude who fucking made TONY.
Yeah.
And I'm an old head from the 90s. That's my favorite beat of all time. The dude who, like, so it's like Metro Boomin watching y'all channel. You know what I'm saying? Or Southside watching y'all channel. And then not only that, like, he's like, yeah, bro, you're helping me with these new NPCs, bro. I'm from the SP 1200 era. Yeah.
And bro, they're finding you where you're at and what you enjoy doing. This is why I love having a platform like this to give roses, because I'm like, how fire is it that you didn't have to go the other ecosystem, the other direction to gain that respect. But you created something all your own, obviously with the help of YouTube as being the platform, but you determined your own pace, your own look, your own style. Nobody had to come in here and coach you to how to be the best CMP. And look at the fucking world, the metaverse, for lack of a better term, that you've created, and look at who is attracting. I don't say that to make it like we need to be, around here like, cocky and arrogant about it, but I look at it and I say, I think it's so early in it that maybe we don't even realize sometimes the impact and the ripple effect of where it may land because of what platform we chose to share it on.
No, I'm telling you, this is. I'll talk to you about this.
It's all good. We'll talk later about that. But yeah.
Because I don't want nobody to steal this idea. But I got
because they will. These are the kind of streams they love to do that too. Where they're like, and you know what? I got to talk about this just for one quick microsecond. I want to get to a conversation about sampling as well as sample makers. But are you good on time? By the way, I want to make sure we respect your time.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Initially, what was I want to talk about? I had a conversation in my head that I wanted to have about, let's just get into the sample one. Doesn't even matter. So, no. I got it. So basically, you get people who come into this space and they watch your content. They watch my content. And not that it matters, because if you're giving it to the world, you understand anybody can do whatever they want to do with it. They come into the space, take a little bit of that, and know in their minds, I could take this shit, do a video tomorrow, and I'm going to get 10 times the amount of viewership that these guys get. I know it probably is a different situation for you because, like you said, you have the autonomy here. You're not leaning on this. But for me, I put so much of myself into the content. It's crazy when I jump on TikTok and see somebody verbatim say some shit that I know ain't no other producer in the community is even speaking on. And I'm like, hey, yo, there's a part of me that's like, good, the message got out there. And there's another part of me that's like, hey, God, how much longer we gonna have this happen before I can get my roses?
So,
just being transparent when I say that. I'm basically asking, do you even experience that? Because that happens. People are not even borrowed, like flat out stole your content. Probably have gone to the courses and done the same thing. How do you what's your POV on it?
I mean, dude, I got bounced out of my SEO like by PreSonus. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to have the website Studio One Tutorials, and they hired or got two companies, like two guys doing content within their ecosystem, and that's their job at PreSonus. And they like just and I looked at their keywords, and they were dropping 3 fucking videos a day.
Wow.
A week of Studio One tutorials, and I was just like that was like, you know what I mean, like like fuck what we're talking about, somebody copying a video idea, bro. Like that shit was an attack on me. You know what I mean? And shit like that sucks, because you have there's an attack on me, there's an attack on my business. So that's kind of add some perspective on how that hits you. I was like, again, the first in the space doing Studio One stuff. So I was like kind of like, like, oh, nobody's doing this, So in the beginning, like when people started popping up, like I would kind of take it personally, and it would kind of ding me. But as the years progressed, I kind of fell back on that, because what I realized was that, dude, like, and I don't know if you've gotten to this point yet, but you don't do a lot of instructional content anymore, but like,
yes, no longer.
Yeah, when I was, I still do a lot of instructional content, and through like the first half of my YouTube stuff, I thought that I was teaching people who wanted to be producers, and I was wrong. I was teaching people who wanted to be YouTubers.
Damn, that's a hell of a pivot. That's a hell of a epiphany, man.
Yeah, well, it was something like MG told me that, like we was talking on the phone. He was like, and I was like, why is this like this? He's like, no, they want to do what you're doing. They don't want to make rap beats, bro, or they don't want to like make beats for rappers. Like that's why they don't do that. That's why they keep asking you about your OBS. You know what I'm saying? And there's like shit I put, like, you see how I'm streaming right now and I never have headphones on. I will never show you motherfuckers because I'm the only one on YouTube doing it. I'm keeping this one. You know what I'm saying? So
you should, man. As you should.
Like, there's still like a couple things, bro.
And I feel like there's an extreme on both sides, right? I talked about earlier about how we weren't gatekeeping in this space, and that's kind of what made us very different from the industry space. But I also think that there is information that, especially me coming from like the mental health space, right, where I've shared a lot of things that have helped me. There's a responsibility that comes with that. And also sometimes you're equipping the wrong people with the right information. And although that's always at arm's reach, I think that's also something that you got to keep in mind as a content creator, is that everything ain't for everybody. It's proprietary, as someone just said right now. And you know where I get that from is the Silicon Valley boys. Like their ideas for apps and things like that, you're not getting teasers. You're not getting nothing until they get their first round of funding, and they got a plan to go along with that. And they keep those things because they're proprietary. And I think that there's certain things that really is. But I think there's an extreme that a lot of us travel to where we give away everything. I don't know, but because I also feel like this.
I hear what you're saying, and you're correct. I agree with you. I think that a lot of like some of the pushback from people who were on the industry, like when I was were you in Clubhouse when it was exclusive?
I didn't touch Clubhouse. My introduction was Whack 100 videos, and I was like, I can't be in there.
Oh, dude, it was great.
It was good. Okay, all I saw was the argument, so I strayed away.
No. Like once Whack and them got in there, it was terrible. But like when it was invite only, iPhone only, dude. Once Android got in there, it was terrible. But when it was invite only,
funny, but it's funny.
It was the whole bunch. It was like music industry producers, music industry sample makers, really cool conversations.
Yeah, I missed that whole wave.
Very, very transparent, and what was Busy was doing his adversarial to the music industry thing, like he's got that chip on his shoulder about the music industry, and so he was holding these spaces, and I would hear these like people, like some of the sentiments people like industry people, they'd be like, yo, y'all are telling too much. It's the reason why we got people who are in the economy who can undercut our prices now because you showed them how to do all of our stuff, yada yada yada. Yeah. And I think, like, looking back at this time period, I think the one thing that I would wish had went different, like I wish that there was like a synergy between what we were doing and actual like industry coaching for some of these situations, because like these younger producers who just want to get on, they're getting taken advantage of in such an obscene way. that we're in this time and place where there's all of this information that's readily available so that they can protect themselves, right? Where it's like they're not, it's not being used because nobody with the cachet from the industry has come forward and says. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite now, because you hear people complaining about like sample makers fucking up placements because they're saying, hey, I make the sample, this is what I want from the situation. And really, that's how like all producers should be moving, right? So like the sample makers are trying to raise the bar, but then you've got the industry producers being like, yo, how dare you ask for anything?
What can I ask you this based upon what you just said right now? So you said that you, and excuse me if I'm mixing the words up, you were saying that you wish that there was like an opportunity for the industry producers to, I guess, provide some tutelage to the younger producers in this space? Is what you're saying?
just like, hey, this is how the business works. You know what I mean? Because that was the missing part of the game. Like, we provided like technical proficiency for them to express themselves artistically, and they made it through however they made it through, email and loops and stuff like that. But there was nobody, there was nobody from that side who was like successful in these collaborations, saying like, hey, this is reasonable, what to expect from these situations,
and to a certain degree. And I want to make sure I get this follow up, because I don't want to zone in too much into that. What I was saying that for is, if we have these industry producers who operate by different standards, right? The idea of you're giving away too much information, could that person be trustworthy to give you see where I'm leading with this? Can that person be trustworthy to lead that youth into a direction that doesn't just can we trust them to lead that youth in ways that don't ultimately serve them, since we know that they're in a capitalistic environment where it's dog eat dog, and that's the lay of the land? I wonder how much of that ideology that is passed down to them when they get in the industry is filtered into these young producers. That's where I have concerns, even about the idea of a producer union that brings together the needs and the obstacles of an industry producer versus an internet.
Producer union is the stupidest fucking shit
I agree.
The ideas of a producer union, like when you peruse the comments of fucking producer union, it's kids saying, they think it's going to be a way to get placements.
Yeah, because it's all about self-serving. It's not about the union.
So it's like, oh, I'm gonna have a place to send my loops. Like, shut the fuck up, bro. You want placements? Want placements? Go to the music cities.
Okay, so can I lead you into this one, because this is a conversation I wanted to have with you specifically, since you have such a successful system with the musicians that you work with the samples that you create, and they're just beautiful fucking samples. Like we're here to talk about the choruses. Those are absolutely something you should absolutely go check out. All that stuff is in the description below. But I think it's ironic. I think I heard Nav, and I haven't reacted to this, but I don't know if you saw the clip where Nav is basically talking about his issue with producers now, or sample makers, is them, having 8 or 7 or 8 people on the sample, and then trying to get cuts. You know what that made me think of? And maybe this is my brain wire in a different way, and I may be completely dead ass wrong, but I wanted to present this to you. I talked to this to Bolo about this, but the structure of the conversation of, I think it leads back to the conversation of producer versus beat maker. Here's where I'm going with it. Producers tell beat makers, you're not a producer because you don't have the responsibilities of what I have as a record producer. You're not delegating responsibilities. You're not orchestrating and designing this session and leading it to be a hit. Those are the skill sets that I bring to the table. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but I say, here's a connection I make. You tell somebody you're not a real producer unless you have the ability to delegate responsibilities and lead a session. I look at some of these sample makers and I'm like, playing devil's advocate, are they not delegating some of the responsibilities of creating the sample yourself by having the musician in place to do this, having the engineer to do this, having the person that's adding all this? Are they not following suit to the very example that the industry producers gave to them of this makes you a real producer? Okay, well, can I be a real sample maker in line with the ideology of a real producer by following the very things that you guys said would make me authentic? Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
That comes from a place of emotion, right? Mm-hmm. I think when you have the conversation of like producers and names and definitions, like all of that shit can be deaded because their words have definitions, right? Mm-hmm. We can't just say a river is it's a flowing body of water for right. X amount of miles, and it goes into the ocean. Right. We can't dig a canal and say this canal is a river because it's got water in it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So and the reason why these roles and these titles are as important, it's not because like, you know, there's some like predatory dirtbag who's trying to take advantage of you and he's calling himself the real producer. Right. It's just that it's important for business, and we, as you know, as we, even though like we're artistic minded as you know, creatives and what have you, mm-hmm. we should still strive to be informed and correct about the things that we're saying.
Okay.
And I don't like it when the hip hop community is wrong. It assumes something, is wrong about it, mm-hmm. and won't come to terms with the fact that, hey, you know what? I get that there were beat makers that are credited as producers, and there are beat makers who made the transition into you know, real record production and stuff. But in the rock world, nobody's confused about what the fucking producer is. In the country world, nobody's confused about the producer. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It is only here, and the only reason why there's confusion about it is because we allow ourselves to have these discussions that are based in emotion, bro. If you are a, like, and I'm talking about like a record producer, right? This is mm-hmm. what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I think that's the most important thing to zero in on, is that,
yeah, because you know, we're hip hop, so we redefine words to suit our lifestyle, to suit right. our culture, and that's fine. But let's step out of that and let's mm-hmm. just talk about facts.
Straight
right?
Facts. Yeah.
There's a such thing as a record producer, bro. Like mm-hmm. DJ Khaled is a record producer. DJ Khaled is also a beat maker, but DJ Khaled don't make the kind of beats that are going to turn into hits anymore. DJ Khaled makes the album cuts on old Fat Joe albums. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He just you know, right. But he's a record producer, so he's the person who could get Drake on the phone and get Lil Baby on the phone and get him to send the verse so that they can make Staying Alive, and then it becomes a video, right. And then it's an actual product that is produced, right? The people who worked on the music, it doesn't make them any less that in this particular session or opportunity or whatever, that they aren't, you know, the record producer. You know what I mean? They're still super talented. They're still super relevant. They're right. still entitled to, you know, the 50% of the publishing for writing the music. They're entitled to all of that. What they're not entitled to is by saying, I produced that record, because they didn't make the call to Drake. You know what I mean? And that's that's okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you less. And what we got to do as men, right? We got to stop being such bitches about this shit, bro.
Right.
And just say, you know what? It's okay if there is somebody who is doing this role. We don't all gotta be perceived as equals. And as a matter of fact, I am, my part in this, like, it doesn't, it's just a sexier title. Everybody wants the sexy title, and for me, like, that's a source of weakness to zoom in on, like, oh my god, what are people calling me?
Let me get some pushback, because I feel you. I understand what you're getting at. And for those who are in here, I'm gonna do some Clubhouse shit. Let me reset the room. We're talking about the age old conversation of producer versus beat maker, and we're getting into some of the nitty gritty in terms of our opinions on that. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just want to make sure that I was able to deliver this while I'm still thinking of it fresh. But I hear you. Yes, there's a lot of producers with some bitch assness in them who are very, very obsessed with semantics, and they're very obsessed with, like, it's not how I want to be represented. I get that. But I also understand when people in powerful position have a power to neg, and they know that there's certain terms that they can say without, they know who they're triggering. And I find it funny whenever you see a producer well accomplished that talks about this conversation of beat maker versus producer, they don't use the term record producer. You hardly ever hear them say record producer. When it's hip hop, you just hear them say producer. That's where I strike a lot of, like, nigga, look it up. Look up literally the you're producing something. And I know that's getting caught in the semantics, but what I fight back is this. I also understand that some people who rise up in an industry where the business ethics, the entire foundation was set up by people that don't look like us, establish a certain law of the land. You talk about those other genres are ran by folks that don't always look like us. And when I think about the way that they establish certain rules of the land, I feel like it doesn't get questioned because it's like, this person is of prestige and how dare you come in here? Who are you to question it? I have issue with this producer beat maker thing because I really feel like at some level there are people out there who understand it for what you're saying, and God bless them because they're man enough to stand on their principles, and that's exactly what they represent because they are organizing a lot. None of this shit happens and gets to the public without what they're doing. However, I do know there exists a space in this industry, that ecosystem, where people use that as a way to ensure that you get the least amount of percentage on this record. And a lot of these beat makers, myself included, are not afforded the opportunity to rise up in the room and take over those responsibilities or even share in those responsibilities because there's people with their elbows out positioning themselves as, I'm Khaled, and this is if I let you do this, then what do I do in here? Like, that exists. That's a thing that exists. And I've seen that muscling happening in real time where somebody will be like, hey, you only getting this percentage, right, Curtis? And I'm like, no, I added to the hook. And they're like, this is the percentage you're going to get or get nothing, right? And I didn't have any representation to say anything about it because I'm just the beat maker in the room.
Yeah.
So I speak to that, not just trying to be contrarian, but it's just something that I think myself, emotions aside, I'm like, the very foundation of what some of these folks are saying, not what you're saying, doesn't add up. And especially when I start seeing the way these percentages work and I hear like some of the homies who are dealing with bullshit about they should have got more in this record and people are getting credit on the record because they made a play. It's like, dog, that's not a producer. That's an event manager.
No, it's a producer.
No, I'm not saying that what you're saying. I'm saying that there are people that get percentages of this that have no say.
Curtis,
they made one play and they get 50%. Fuck out of here.
Everything you're saying is true. Everything you are saying is true.
Yeah.
But two things can be true.
Sure.
Right?
I get that.
Two things can be true. Everything you are saying is true. That doesn't mean, like, bro, okay, hip hop was the last genre to the party, right? Mm-hmm. So there is all these other genres that have existed in the history of the music industry, and the record producer is one role. You know what the conversation used to be about record producers before we had, beat maker emotions to it? The question used to be, this was the real question: should producers know how to play instruments? That was the discussion. Should producers know how to play instruments? Because you know why? Because producers did not add anything artistic to the song. Mm-hmm. You know what a producer, like the standard music industry points were for a music producer?
What's that?
It's 3 points on the record, bro. It's 2 more than the engineer. Mm-hmm. That's the regular standard. What happened was, in hip hop, the beat maker, got so prolific, and they wound up negotiating like these bigger cuts, and then super producers came and stuff like that. And now, we see our heroes and we're like, oh, I want to be a producer like Dr. Dre. I want to be a producer like this guy. And then, like people weren't reading the album credits, and they see like, oh, this beat was produced by Dr. Dre. I read the whole album credits. I see that beat was produced by Dr. Dre, and then I also see that the keyboards were played by Louis Resto, and that the bass was played by Louis Resto, and that the drums were programmed by the Bass Brothers. You know what I'm saying? And then the next beat, was produced by Dr. Dre, but all programming was done by Melman. So and I think that's where my perspective on this is a little bit different, because even when I was just like a fan as a teenager, I had the understanding that, there was the producer that was the big name, and that he was getting a lot of music done by other people. They're putting the play together. Yeah. I don't think that there is any, and you tell me if you disagree with this, I don't think that there is any value or progress that comes from us as a community and a culture saying, hey, this term producer, we need to redefine it and say that unless you're contributing music to the situation.
It's chasing. It's a dog chasing his tail. That's not the issue. I think that when you talk about the emotions part of the beat making, I think what that boils down to, and you tell me if you disagree, is that it's a matter of respect in the room. Because when you hear about the way that people speak about, that's why I created my character Sus Bunny, because of the way that you hear, these producers that are like well noted talk at these panels about the beat makers. It's almost like this disgusting coming out of their mouth. Like that's the help in the room. I rarely hear, and maybe I'm biased because I pick up on the other things. Maybe there's an emotional hearing, but I rarely hear them talk about the significance of the beat maker. And when I've been in situations where I've literally been the producer on records and seen artists do it, where they'll finesse the importance of the producer and make the producer believe that the reason why this is ultimately a success is all of my branding and all of the things that I contributed to it. How would that producer ever know what their contribution is until it's too late, until they're 4 projects in and they recognize now I have a name that was contributed to from working with this artist? You got to give them credit where it's due. But I just feel like it's such a sword measuring contest sometimes in these rooms.
Well, I mean, let's practice some empathy, bro.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And let's put ourselves in these people's shoes. Like these people, like we talked about before about the necessary sacrifices that you got to be into that position, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like people look at DJ Khaled and they think he's a goof, bro. But that dude like sacrificed everything for hip hop music, and he executed and built himself up to a point to where he could now do this, right? Dr. Dre, the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Kanye West, the same thing. You know what I mean? And now some fucking 16-year-old jit can be like, well, they didn't program the hi-hat.
I get that. Saying? Yeah, that's some head ass shit. I'm with you on that.
So hold up. So how many? Let me take down this road. How many rap producer, like real rap producer jobs do you think that there are?
In what ecosystem? You talking about in the industry?
In the music industry.
How many producer jobs?
Yeah.
I could think of probably 2 or 3 when you start getting into
No. Like how many like music industry rap producers do you think that there are?
Oh, just in general of rap producers? Yeah. Shit, I don't know. I have no idea.
Like 40
that are actively.
Yeah, that are producing records now. There's like
signed to deals, or just like
I'm talking about the music industry. I'm not talking
but the music industry likes to, the music industry likes to play that game of you're not actually signed to us, but we'll accept emails.
No, dude, I'm talking about Metro. I'm talking about TM88. I'm talking about motherfuckers that we know, bro. Like how many of them people do you think that there are?
That's a good question.
There's like 40, bro.
Say about 40. Okay.
There's like 40. There's not. If we're very, lenient, we could say 100.
Okay.
How many subscribers you got?
236,000.
What percentage is 100 of 236,000?
You telling me to do math?
It's crazy, right?
But I get the point.
So we're talking. So we're talking about there's NBA level chance. There's NBA style chances that you get one of these jobs, right? And these people have sacrificed everything to get into these jobs. You know what I'm saying? Parents talking to them crazy, relationships. You know what I mean? Like they've had crazy lives, bro. To get to this point because they love music, they love the sport, yada yada yada. So I can have an appreciation for those people,
sure,
wanting to run people through the mill to say like, yo, like prove to me that you belong here.
Oh, but we do the same thing.
Because here's the thing, bro.
I get that.
Like back when I used to rap.
Let me find out.
I said back when I used to rap, like I was the nicest. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I said let me find out. I need to hear some records.
Bro, listen. I was the nicest in my high school.
Yeah,
easy, right? I was the nicest in my neighborhood. Easy, right? Started going to all the open mics in Broward County. I was the nicest at all of them shits too. So I was like, all right. I gotta be great. You know what I mean? Like this was made for me. So then I start getting, yeah, I start going down to Miami. I'm like, oh, there's some beasts down here. You know what I mean? And then I
Mm,
wind up in a studio ecosystem where where everybody is as good or way better than me.
right.
So the whole thing about like, like the talent to actually make music, that became like, dude, everybody here can do that.
Yeah, it's not. It's
Every
not a. It's not a. Yeah, You're not the small. You're not the big fish in a small pond anymore.
so we were all around like DJ EFN, right?
Hmm.
And they were getting their stuff together. They were just putting together Mayday to like sign with Strange Music and stuff. And everybody,
Right.
once we seen them do that, we was like, yo, got fucking get around. And EFN knew everybody who could rap. You know what I mean? Like we go when him and Nori had their first show on Sirius, FM and all that shit. So the thing was, in order to like like the one who was like super nice out of all of us, he was like, oh, EFN's gonna be my manager, and he's like, all right, well, we need $1 million to make this shit work,
Hmm.
you know and that was the difference. And it was just like, like, yeah, the talent's all there, but in order for you to be the rapper who is managed and us propel you into this industry shit, there has to be the capital,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's the rapper space. In the producer space, it's, the situations like what you're talking about, like there's going to be a level of hazing that that occurs, and they're going to gatekeep, and they're only going to want people who are like them in the space, because when it comes time for them to pass on the opportunities, which are super rare, they want to do it with the people that they pick because they work so hard to be there. And it's
Yeah.
not nice, it's not fair, but I can't in good conscience say that those folks didn't earn that opportunity to
Hmm.
curate the ecosystem.
In that space as well, it's almost to your detriment if you're not aware and if you're not operating like that, right? You can't be the fair one in a land full of unfairness and expect that everybody's going to adjust to your ideologies of fairness. Like that's just not it. And I think that, and I'm glad that thank you for articulating that the way you did, because I'm like, I'm sitting and I'm thinking, because it there's layers of anti-industry that I have been unwrapping this entire year, and a lot of that had, not even a lot, 98% of it had to do with my own experience in it. The fact that I have homies that are still currently within that industry space, and they're getting placements. I always have been the biggest cheerleader for them. When they get their placements, I'm hitting them up. I'm like, bro, please go in there and kill it. Like y'all are to a certain degree, y'all are Curtis's revenge, because I'm like, you get to live in the internet space and get advice from whatever you need from me over here, and then go kill it over there. And I'm not gonna never sit here and talk down upon those things. But I think there's a part of me that was like, because of the bullshit that I endured in there, I had to realize that my idea of pro independence, which I am, being a DIYer, that was more rooted in my anti of the experience that I had, and I wasn't healed up. And I think that there's a lot of folks who can't come to terms with things that you said earlier, like maybe you're just not good enough. Nah, F that, F that. I'm gonna just go independent. I'm gonna show you. And it's like, when you're driven by that energy only, that's not, you're not pro that. You're reacting to something that happened and then allowing that anti to empower you. And so I think I'm even unwrapping the layers of it. But I look at it now and I'm like, you're right. The conversation has never been about the producer beat maker. It's all been about the respect
Yeah,
factor. And I think
yeah,
that if you're in a position where you're not able to go through the hazing, where you're not able to follow suit, where it doesn't match your character, you got to make some grown man or grown woman decisions. And thank God for the internet for giving another place to even do that, right? Because there wasn't always that option.
yeah. I think that's a good way to cap that off. I think what you do is important, especially with the way that, with your DIY message. Um, because it's inspirational. You know what I mean? Like when you first got the house, and you dropped the song. My favorite bar that you ever said. You said this motherfucker said it's hard to hear doubt in this big ass house. I was like, yeah, bro, tell him.
Talk that shit.
You got 5 bedrooms, dog. You got 5 bedrooms in California. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers can't get 2 bedrooms in California.
Talk about it, man.
You're doing that,
man. Thank you.
And then all off of all of the self-made business. And I think what people can get from you expressing your experiences, and and your attitude towards industry gatekeeping and stuff like that, is that you can kind of show, like, hey, there's something else out here for you guys. Like, if you ran up against that wall and it wasn't for you, and it's not for everybody, and that's okay.
Yeah.
The problem is, like you said, and I agree with this, is that if somebody recognize, or if you run into it and you recognize that it's not for you, then going out and making your own way, nobody has the right to disparage you for doing so.
Right.
And acting like you failed at something because you didn't. You know what I mean?
And look, CMP, this is why I thank you once again for coming on the platform, because I truly look at, I said it earlier, I look at you as part of the rock stars of this space, in that I don't need to see 800,000 subscribers to see the value in what you do on a daily basis. Your choice to show up here, your choice to disclose the things that you disclose. But what I recognize is that you made the decision to do it. Now, everybody has their own motives, but some of that, it's fair game. But I think what is awesome about that is that we have the space to do something that creates jobs. In 2013, bro, and I don't know how it was when you first made your entrance into YouTube. Like I said earlier, they were looking at me crazy. Like, how are you gonna make money? What are you gonna? And then I first came into actually selling beats, and I sold beats, and I saw more money in a month than I had seen in years of being in the industry. And that's not an industry problem. That's a Curtis problem, not knowing how to maneuver it the way I should have. Asked for what I should have been asking for, but I was paying my dues. I say like this, I got into selling beats online and started to see that actually shift my life faster than any placement that I received. And I said, okay, there might be something to this. I still had 1 foot in, 1 foot out. The moment that I saw this change my life, and the moment I started to see it actually like even help the way I felt about myself as a provider and a man in a relationship I was in, that was something I never experienced in the industry. And when we came into this space, bro, so much of this shit didn't exist. The opportunity for you and I as music producers, we ain't showed a lick of music this entire conversation. Shout out to the 115, 120 people that came in here. You and I are having dialogue in 2023 about our thoughts aside from just music. These are things that 2012, 11, when it was Ustream, it wasn't like that. So the fact that this ecosystem is continuing to grow, the fact that platforms like YouTube are continuing to add more features, it just makes me immensely grateful to create in this time. And it makes me want to get away from focusing on, like you said, the semantic shit, the emotional part of it, because I'm recognizing, like, bro, there's so many jobs that folks like you and I created that will make it to where, I say this to producers that want to pursue the industry. If you find information here or with CMP, which I can absolutely guarantee, you take the courses, you get the sounds, by all means, you will find your success. You will have you will have a shooter's chance, as they say, by having the right tools. And this is a brother that's going to give you those tools. If you go through this space, that ecosystem, it's just like a job. You may or may not like some of the requirements of that job. And you may go through this space, and maybe you see the same thing that I saw, which was there were so many people that I saw skyrocket past me and crash just as fast as they went up. And then they just quit making music. All left and right. Came into this space.
That's real.
Man, I came into this space and I recognized that there is no such thing as a fall off. Matter of fact, I now can give information to a producer that's in North Dakota that would otherwise have little to no contact at that time to a West Coast producer that worked with TDE artists. That is valuable, right? The career that I had that at that point in time, let's say it was 13, 14 odd years of experience, I can now present that into a video that lives forever for somebody who's having conversations with me. Not to say I'm such a rare character, but they're having high level conversations with us that otherwise just wouldn't exist if the internet didn't exist. So I see it for that, and I'm grateful for human beings like yourself that refuse to sugarcoat the shit, that tell it directly how you telling it, and that continue to show up even though you don't have to.
Yeah, man, you gotta prove that, in my opinion, like, in order for me to even like take you seriously, not you personally, but just anybody who's doing this music, like, you gotta prove that you love it. You know what I mean? You gotta prove that
part,
you know, that you want to sound the best. You know what I mean? That you want to constantly work on your skills. That you want to, you know, it's just you know, you just, because there's so many people who come into it, you know, who come into it halfway, you know, and it's just all about like how hip hop is presented to people. It's, you know, it's a vehicle for consumerism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's an advertisement for lifestyle, right? So when musicians get into like music production, you know, they might have a tendency to think like, yo, I'm gonna produce this music and it's going to add to that hip hop lifestyle. And it's like, nah, bro, you cannot afford, you know, that hip hop lifestyle that's being advertised to you in your favorite songs off of the frequency of production deal payments, bro. Like, you know, like,
yeah, that's real. And I know it's late. I know it's late over where you're at. There is one last topic I wanted to touch on, because I've seen you be very, very vocal about the companies, the companies that we know. Some of them have well-to-do intentions, and you speak about whatever you're comfortable speaking with. I see you revving up over there, like you look like Jimmy Butler getting ready for
ready to run into your chest and make a layup, bro. What you want to do?
So these companies, bro, like that was a part of this shit that I did not anticipate, bro. I came into this. I did my FL Studio video about pirating, and it goes viral. I'm like, bro, at that time I said these companies ain't gonna never want to work with my black hair. I said, why the hell did I do this in the name of honesty? And I was like regretting to a certain degree, like, damn, did I go too deep in it? This shit going viral. Av McCree and his homies making fun of me in there. I ain't never met them before. It was just going all over the place. And I was like, this is not how I wanted to go viral. But after that happened, left and right companies started hitting me up because of the transparency to work with them. Initially, I was very excited about it because I was like, oh shit, y'all want to work with me? My channel wasn't getting any kind of sponsorship opportunities, not even with DistroKid yet. And slowly but surely, I started to see the game that was being ran on me. And I didn't know it because I didn't have anybody else who was in this space. But bro, like, some of the crazy shit that you see these people present you with, and add another layer onto it, because I don't want to keep making it about necessarily race, but when I got homies that I can A/B split test their offer versus mine, and the only difference is our background, and I'm saying, like, why are you presenting these deals to them and mine's is so lowballed in terms of my value? But what you're saying in the message helps me to believe that, oh, it'd be supremely valuable for us to get some airtime on what you're doing. I started taking less of them damn NFRs and started really looking back and being like, oh, hell no, y'all are sitting up here, y'all are running game. What is sort of your perspective on, especially with you being a business owner yourself, having your own products that you're plugging through? What is sort of your point of view on that in terms of sponsorships and producers?
Well, I'm super passionate about it, and I'm going to tell you like this, you know, people from like me and Curtis's class, we did the whole plug-in review gamut, and we have an excuse for doing that stupid shit. And our excuse is there was no one before us to tell us that it was dumb, you know, because basically what we all did was we allowed plugin companies uh to use our social currency with our audiences and say, hey, you need this, right? They looked at it, they're very savvy. They looked at our channels, they seen what we were doing. There's, symposiums on influencer marketing, so on and so forth. And smaller companies will hit you with the, oh, we're just a smaller company.
I hate that shit, bro.
We can't pay you that. It's like motherfucker, I seen all of the Facebook ads.
Yes.
Ads. You got $7,000 a week to do that. You know what I mean? Like, and the people, and what's crazy is, like, I would get approached and I'd be like, okay, well, I'm gonna need this, and they'll be like, well, your channel isn't big enough to warrant that, and I'm like, yeah, but the context that I provide for your stuff is going to be way different than what somebody else can do. And there's been companies who did good by me, right? Like Serato did great by me.
Shout out to them. They seem to be really tapped in, man. Serato's talking to DiBiase about that. Like, that's dope.
Yeah, they're really tapped in. They're a good company. They understand, they'll, as soon as as soon as you get them the deliverables, they're sending the money over from New Zealand. And some of I did great work for them when Serato Studio was rolling out. A couple, but they're, what I'm trying to say is, if you're thinking about doing a channel right now and you're revolving it around like plugin reviews, like, you're fucking up. You know what I'm saying? Then people are never gonna pay you. And on top of that, man, like, if you think an NFR is worth it, you know what I mean? All you do is you wind up collecting all these plugins that you don't use. You know what I mean? Like, it's not valuable. Like, I understand you're probably functioning from a place of scarcity, and you're like, man, if I just had this and I just had this, I'm here to tell you, it's not going to change your music. You know what I mean? That new compressor is not going to make your melodies better, bro. You know what I mean? Only practice is going to do that. Building a channel that revolves around plugin reviews it's just a terrible idea, because what winds up happening is you just open yourself up to a motherfucker like Weaver Beats to fucking clown the shit out of you, bro.
To Weaver.
Yeah, bro. Like Weaver's just gonna come after you, and you're gonna become a meme. You know what I'm saying? For no reason. Here you are trying to think you're doing a good thing for the producer community. Weaver just shaved his head, and he's got all the jokes, bro.
He going for the eyebrows next. Let's get some more subscribers. We need to see them eyebrows off.
Weaver some subscribers. We can take some eyebrows off. But you know what I'm talking about. And because there's two guys. Is Weaver and Paul Third, right? Because those two guys are so successful eviscerating plugin companies for capping, they're going to spawn another generation of YouTubers who are going to like see being the plugin police as viable. So that
needs to exist. That needs to exist. For those who don't understand, that has to exist for the not only for accountability, but for the survival and for the thriving of our space and culture. You gotta leave some space you have to leave space for criticism in any sports that happens on a daily basis. Like, think about Skip Bayless and the many channels that mimic that in their own ways. Like, you have to have that.
I have mixed feelings about it, because those guys can have a tendency to get into the content grind, and
sure, I get it.
I feel like sometimes they're finding issues that ain't there. I haven't seen like sometimes there'll be like a good plugin that comes out. It'll be a great plugin, and then the company goes and develops it, and those are real people who are working at that shit. They'll come out and sell it, and then somebody will make a video and be like, well, I understand that this plugin is this price, but I already have these 5 plugins that I can get to do the same thing that this plugin's doing. So
right,
and it's like, bro, like what? Like, at this point, what are we doing, bro? Like, why do you exist? You just exist to have a fucking voice on the internet, bro. You ain't helping nobody with that shit.
At that point, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You know what I'm saying? So like, but I also agree that there needs to be like that level of criticism, and it's just like I, everything gets corny eventually, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, I've noticed that the cycle in content for like hip hop and plugins and shit like that, it's very populist. It's very like, oh, they're trying to steal your money. Don't don't participate
It's
in this
doom and
shit.
gloom for a lot of times. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Like for example, like there's a plugin that Jason Joshua did. It's called the God Particle.
Mm-hmm.
It is one like I don't do plugin reviews and shit, so I don't have like like I didn't do a rollout for this, and like they need to pay me, but I'm gonna tell you right now, bro. Like that plugin is the most like transform. Like it is a leap in helping people sound better. Like
Right.
it is a huge leap, but because we're in this like populism place, and because it costs $80, you've got all these people like putting it into plugin doctor and being like, oh, it's just this and it's just that. It's like, dude, like it's just like there's people whose beats mixes could be so much better if they use this plugin for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But instead you're out here muddying the waters just because you want to be a voice in the void, and that's
It can get clicks by doing that.
yeah, because that's the thing that'll get you clicks right now. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you, bro. Like if you want to, like if you're a YouTuber and you're or if you're a wannabe YouTuber and you're like shameless and you just want to have a channel go up, do what Weaver's doing. Like that shit.
And I already
Like
see people following suit with that, but it's
yeah,
like
do it.
that.
Do it
That
because people want it. Because at the end of the day,
uh,
here's the other thing that I don't think that we're 100% honest about when it
okay.
comes to the plugin companies. Hip hop world don't buy shit.
Mm,
Don't buy shit.
mm,
We know they don't buy shit, Curtis. We know they don't buy shit.
yeah.
The only reason why me and you buy shit is because we can afford to. And the reason why
Mhm.
we can afford to is because we're professionals. You know what I'm saying? But the majority,
I hate
the,
how truthful that is. I hate how
yeah,
truthful that is.
so we're out here advertising we're out here advertising this stuff for these companies, but it's kind of at like a net loss because all they're gonna do is go on audioz's.info and download it. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying?
Okay, playing devil's advocate, which I do often, I look at that also and say that they get to also get equity in a channel by somebody making content when they're a smaller channel and being able to say, here's an NFR because we don't feel like it is valuable as it's valuable enough to pay you to get some space in your channel. That channel ends up becoming a Weaver Beats, right? Now they have a video because of how the YouTube algorithm works. You know how YouTube would do. You subscribe to somebody, then they suggest a video from 6 years ago based upon what your interest was and the retention and everything you gave them. Now this company has an evergreen landing page pretty much in some regard in terms of the media. Having a video that sits there, they can make as much money as they want to make, and there's never a time to turn off the faucet unless you make the video private or unlisted. And that's the thing that I was telling these companies. I was like, don't sit up here and play the numbers game. I understand it could be a loss for you, but don't play the numbers game with me about followers when you hired somebody at your company to be your social media manager who probably themselves only has 50 to 100 followers because they're running your page, but this person went to school to become a social media manager. You have money available to them to pay salary because of their ability to spread your message around the world or to communicate your message to your audience or to stay engaged. You're asking me as the content creator to create content, write copy in the descriptions, be a graphic designer as I create this thumbnail. You're also asking for me to edit it in a certain way because sometimes they're like, we're not going to go live or pay you until you get these takes correct. Or I've had companies that did like 2 or 3 edits before we went live. And it's like, dog, I don't work for you and you still want to give me the very bare minimum. And like you said, I look at your marketing budgets. Facebook is going to tell me all the ads you got going on right now. And if this is seen as something that is important, it's artist reach out. Yes, you can lose money, but you're losing money already on ads. Why do you get to skimp on this? And I feel like a lot of folks feel like they can get away with that shit because it's hip hop.
You're it's a couple things, and you're 100% right about See, that's a layer that a lot of people aren't going to understand about them having the evergreen content that that routes back in the value that we're providing. And the thing is, their advantage lies in that there is no there's no standard from us that we're giving out. Like, I remember just a content creator that I'm very cool with. He's an awesome guy, and I was having a conversation with him. I was like, I don't know if this is weird or not, but bro, what's your rate? And it was very hard for me to get that information out of him, and he had a list of great reasons of why he wouldn't tell me his rate. And I mean, this is somebody who is a professional content creator. Like, you've heard his voice in like pro shit, and I'm like, and I explained to him, I'm like, listen, man, like, I get what you're saying, but if you don't tell me, and I understand it's you, but if you don't tell me where the bar is, I don't know what to shoot for. And then the people,
so the responsibility does fall at some level.
Yeah, and then the people who are coming behind me, they're gonna sit and think that $700 for a fucking plugin review is a mountain of money, and like, oh my god, things are going good. I've never sold a beat for $700, so selling a video for $700, that's amazing.
I get that. I definitely get that. Because accountability is huge. Like, if you can't have it for yourself, you can't demand it for anybody else. Like, you have to set a bar. And that's something that, it's funny, as we're talking about this, a company reached out to me right now.
Yeah, and there's probably people listening to this in the chat right now. They're like, what's this guy talking about? For $700, I could get the focus right with 4 inputs, dude. Like, I'm definitely doing that video.
And it's different priorities, though. We know that, yeah.
But that is why this cycle is going to persist, man, because no matter what we do, like dude, we come out, like, bro, everybody knows Unison is ass. Everybody.
Yeah, we spoke about that many times here.
Everybody agrees that Unison is ass, and there's a reason why they use the channels that they use to advertise that stuff.
Why do you think it is?
Because they'll say yes. They know, bro. Unison knows they cannot come to CMP and offer me any money to talk about a drum monkey.
Yeah, I'll be damned. I'll get that damn racist ass monkey on my damn platform.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, we called it a drum monkey, boys.
Wait. You know what? Where I made that connection, when I first saw it, I was like, all right, here's another gimmicky plug-in. It was an ad that shout out to homie HGC. He's like, bro, have y'all seen this new plug-in? And the preset was on hip hop and on rap, and then it had a monkey next to it. And I looked at that and I'm like, these people are so fucking detail oriented about everything messaging that goes out. You can tell by the copy. It's so hard for me to believe that nobody in the room made a suggestion of, it's a little raunchy. Yeah, I know. And it's also probably something that can start up a conversation. Like, I just feel like there's no way in hell everybody in the room is that ignorant. And when I saw that, I was like, fuck that.
Bro, this is how that conversation went, bro. You ready?
Talk to me.
No, yeah, bro. But outrage marketing is a thing. You didn't see what Gucci just did?
Or H&M?
With the turtleneck sweater, and people are on podcasts saying that they're still gonna rock Gucci. And at the end of the day, most of the people who are making rap music are white anyway, so we're not going to offend them.
Jesus, and this is another reason I wanted to bring you on here, because when I bring this up, it looks like I'm race bait, and it looks like, oh, you're playing a victim, and I understand that's the nature of the internet. But I'm telling y'all, when you understand the imagery, when you know about minstrel shows, when you know about things like neurolinguistic programming, when you know these things and know that these people who are in situations where they're making an elite level amount of money and they're getting tutelage from people who also understand this, you start to see like these connections are not on accident. Remember that damn shirt from H&M? People forgot about that. The coolest monkey in the jungle.
That was a good one.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
But outrage marketing
that is a thing.
marketing is a thing,
It
bro.
works.
And just like from you being an advertiser and me being an advertiser, I noticed the same thing. Like, dude, their copy is amazing, bro. Like I'll be reading through their whole thing, and when I get to the bottom of it, I want to buy it, bro.
Really? Talking about Unison?
Yeah, dude, Unison, Unison and
bro, I seen some shit on Weaver, bro. Weaver video where they was talking about. Imagine your life before you get this plug in. Nobody wants to put the aux cord in, and then when you finally do it, your parents are asking, "What have you been up to in that room?"
I'm not. No, dude, I'm not. I'm talking about their written copy.
Their written copy. Okay.
Written copy is amazing. Cymatic's written copy is amazing too. Like that shit. That shit just that like it. They're the only ones that I finished. That's why
I got it.
But not too much on that, so people don't
hyper focus on the wrong thing. Yeah.
But dude, like the point is, like, you know, that what I was saying, like, yo, that company's ass. The reason why they pick the channels and the channel sizes, you know, that they do it is because those are the people that'll say yes. Like they're looking to monetize their following, right? Those channels are looking to monetize their following, and it's very hard when you're looking to monetize your following, because I'm coming from a place of abundance. I have the three, you know, rolling sources of income online to be able to pick and choose. You know what I mean? If I was in a different spot, maybe I, you know, would have
been open to the dialogue. Yeah, I get it.
Because I've done it in the past, bro. Like there's reviews for stuff on my channel that, you know, that I've, like, you know, never went back to. You know, and what I'm trying to tell the people who are watching, who want to like be in this space, is just like, yo, learn from me, bro. Like don't make the video just because they're gonna throw you $200. That ain't no money. Unless you gotta eat, which, if you got time to make YouTube videos, you probably don't gotta eat. You're probably eating all right.
Right.
You know,
you got the equipment and all the stuff that come along with that.
Yeah. But you're probably doing all right. You probably don't need that $200. You could probably do something else to get that to get those two. But
sometimes you could say yes to $200 and make a $400 mistake, though. And I learned that from certain companies. Like, I'm not even gonna say the brother's name because I think that I ain't gotta say no name. But I was approached by someone that was super respectable about his plug-in, and I wanted to see it win. I installed it. I could not put that content out on my channel because the bullshit voice in my head was like, and it comes with extra meters for the output. Like, I had to think of things to champion about it. And I could just see in it being one of those pieces that people come back to when they're like, yo, I bought this and this sacrifices your credibility. And that's also sometimes the issue I have with, you know, so-and-so from artists reaches out on behalf of a well-known plugin company. They approach CMP. They say, hey, CMP, we love what you're doing. Hey, you know what? We want to pay you whatever you want to be paid. Cool. You got paid that. They're not fronting the same risk. The only risk they have in that situation is to be associated with someone who either goes off the rails or that they lose money on. Yeah. You being a front-facing brand, your face being attached to something that people later on label as a scam, that is an expensive hole to dig yourself out of. And shout outs, because some of those are the homies that did the Unison Audio, you know, commercial. I won't name any names, but I've had conversations where they're like, it wasn't my brightest moment, and it probably cost me a little bit later, a lot later on, because people associated me with that. But
bro, especially like, again, like, I gotta warn you guys.
Yeah.
Weaver is going to meme you, bro. He does not
It's gonna
care.
happen. Oh Lord.
He's going to come for you. You're going to be content. And you know what's gonna happen? Somebody else that's funnier than Weaver is gonna be inspired by him and is gonna make a, you know, a different channel. But, like, dude, I do the same thing. Like, the last opportunity I had, it was super recent. You know, a plugin company approached me, like, hey, love your channel, love what you do. And I could tell by the way that they were talking to me, they actually, like, it wasn't just like that bullshit.
The mass message they send off. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, no, we see what you do, you know, with plugins and provide the context. And they was like, yo, this is there's another like YouTuber that's like super successful, like in and they were like, so this is what we did with him. We would like for I think that this plugin would work good, with your message and
Mm-hmm.
everything. And we want to open up the opportunity for not only for you to make content about the but also to provide, like, to program the plugin as well. You know what I'm saying? So you could have your own presets in it and your own kits in it. And
Mm-hmm.
like they knew I was a sound designer, and that and the thing is, these type of plugins that do like the music hacks and stuff, they're only as good, like the AI plugins and stuff, they're
Mm-hmm.
only as good as what they're programmed in. And
Mm.
and like
That's so
those
real.
those plugins, like the melody sauces and all those fucking goofy ass plugins that are supposed to make bangers for you, they never are able to produce hip hop voicings. You know what I'm saying? They always get the trap voicings wrong. They always get the hip hop voicings wrong. They
Mm-hmm.
don't they don't invert the chords right. I know how to do all that shit,
Mm-hmm.
right? I am not giving that sauce to a company for a day rate, dude. I'm
No,
I, I'm
fuck
I'm
all
not
that.
doing it.
No.
And the way that I am, like, you guys see CMP Kids, like a lot of people, like, they'll ask me, like, don't you want to have samples on Drum Broker and Splice? And it's like, no.
You own your shit. Like I.
I
That's
I
why.
I,
Why is that
I
not a?
want to I want to compete directly with them.
And,
I
and,
don't care if I don't win, but that's the game that I want to play. You
and
know what I mean?
and it's
Like, I don't.
amazing how people get offended when they hear you talk like that, as if like you're talking above your level or how they view you. But it's like,
Yo,
dog, we're all out here in this space. We supposed to be doing like this. Like you supposed to be
yo,
building up your shit.
people have told me so much crazy stuff, like, oh, you'll never be prolific, yada yada yada. It'll always be Drum Broke, always be better than you. I'm like, dude, like, you just asked me a question, and it's like, I'm just telling you where I'm coming from. Like, the
Mm-hmm.
way that the way that I function is, I function off of competition. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
even in, like, dude, like, if I get a new job and and I work at like a new company or something like that, the first thing that I do is I find my enemy. And it's not like that me and this person are like,
I get that.
but I find the person that's like, all right, you're in that position. Like, I'm going to fucking compete with you. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I'm gonna be at the site before you. I'm gonna put up more work than you. Like, I'm gonna do, and that's what gets me going.
I
Because,
get
dude,
it.
if I don't have that, I'll atrophy. I have such a propensity to just, like, to
Mm,
just be cool in any situation, that I can just, like, be lazy. You know what I mean? Like, I'll never get any work done,
I get that.
unless, like, like, dude, I started a YouTube channel because I seen Busy Works Beats channel, and I was like, yo, I make better beats than him. I should be there.
Damn. Well,
I,
I mean,
I
but you
dude,
that's a conversation that we all do it at some level. I don't care who
dude,
it is.
and bro, like, that's not new. Like, I've told
Yeah.
him that on the phone. I've told him that on camera.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and he gets it. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it. It's, if you compete,
Respectfully, you got to
yeah.
be of a level of respect to even be looked at as a competitor. Like that's, I think people miss that in this hypersensitive world. That, bro, I salute human beings like yourself, because you remind me of like homies that I grew up with, folks that I still to this day. They're low maintenance friendships, because it's like we're not moved by every hypersensitive move that happens in the world. We don't let that define who we are, and it's like we need more of that, because a lot of these folks are in this environment and are being exposed to a certain energy that they think is toxic, and it's like, nah, fam, this is what happens when you stand on your shit. This is what happens when you believe in what you have going on. Some people get offended by confidence, especially when it comes in the form of us just being blunt. Like, it's just how it is. But I love the fact that you're doing that, as well as I love the fact, I got my series Chopaganda. I've been pushing my the sampling propaganda. So they can push any propaganda they want on me, plug in propaganda. I want to do Chopaganda, damn it. But I love the fact that, I asked you, what chorus do you feel like is the one that best represents your level of teaching. You talked about the sampling course, so I want to make this a twofold question, and we can kind of end there and give some final thoughts. But first of all, how do you feel about where sampling is today and how it's viewed by music producers? That's the first part, and the second part is obviously I want you to talk about your course again.
Well, I don't know how sampling is viewed by music producers, because the way that we interface with this community is dependent on how we curate our algorithm. So so if you interact with a bunch of creative people who are of the mind that, um let's make it easy, like using loops is cheating, right? If you're with a whole bunch of people that are like using loops is cheating, and you go on your timeline and you see that, then you'll go into another producer discussion and
That's
you'll
real.
be like, everyone is saying this, right? But
Mm-hmm.
in reality, you've seen 11 tweets. That was 11 people.
It's
That is
everybody.
not
No CMP. That's
that
everybody.
and that shit, and that level of intellectual dishonesty, it makes me cringe, bro.
Yeah.
And the
That shit
reason
is
why,
rampant too. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, and the reason why is because I noticed a disconnect when I was still doing studio shit, and I was just starting on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, people who work at studios don't watch YouTube. They're not a part of what we call the producer community.
Mm-hmm.
They don't, they might have seen like some BusyWorks beat stuff or some of your stuff or some internet money stuff. That's where it stops.
Mm-hmm.
Av McCree stuff too. You know what I'm saying? Like you four guys. Like that's, and it's just like fast forward stuff. Like they're not tapped in like people who are, you know, always consuming the producer
They're
content.
there for a specific reason and in and out.
Yeah, so the conversation that I typically see on my timeline about sampling, because of the way that I've personally curated it, it's a lot of people who are excited about, they feel like sampling, this is sampling records, right?
Mm-hmm.
They feel like sampling is viable again.
Yeah.
Tracklib has helped a lot with that, because it's kind of removed the anxiety of being able to make sample based, hip hop and R&B, and not have that looming threat of like, oh, is this going to be hard to clear? Stuff like what Drum Broker did with master clearance guaranteed samples, with Kingsway, and
That's
and
fire.
everybody
Right.
kind of working off of that model.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate that that conversation got so confused by a lot of amateur types who were worried that they were somehow going to be taken advantage of by the
Mm-hmm.
people who created the melodies for their songs that they were putting drums under, like
Mm-hmm.
they were trying to steal something from them. Like if you went over to their house, like you guys wouldn't split that. Like it's
Yeah.
weird that people think that just because they paid $30 for something, that they own the intellectual property for that, and then they rage against the music industry. That's very strange to me. The way that I approach it from selling samples is I make I if you go to my site, my EULA is very simple, and I will read it to you
Mm-hmm.
because I think I spruced it up. But if you go to the bottom of my page, right, the question is royalty free, right?
Okay.
And I say this: we create these products for you to use in your music. No one will hunt you down in the middle of the night for your SoundCloud banger. If you place with a major, put yourselves in our shoes and ask, if I made the melody to this charting hit record, would I want to be credited and compensated?
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that. Based off of that stipulation,
Mm-hmm.
every quarter I go I have Discord, I'm sorry, DistroKid invites to splits, and I have like fucking syncs in my BMI.
That's so dope.
Yeah, that's just like because people who are doing like actual business, they see that, they understand what it is, and they don't worry about it because they're conditioned. The overall conversation around sampling is you just wind up with a lot of people who they haven't really made the effort to understand how things work, but they've knee jerked into an opinion, right? And that is a bigger problem with our society. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I will tell you this about sample class. I've created a lot of stuff. I've created a lot of different videos. I've written a lot of songs. I've made thousands of beats. Sample class is the thing that I am the most proud of, that I am the most proud of, because not one person has taken this course and told me that it was bloated, that they didn't get enough out of it. Everybody has came back and been like, man, I am a better musician about it. It's everything. It's everything that I know. Everything that I know. Put into a course, and it's the most important thing that I've done, because it's the most honest, and it provides a conduit for people who are passionate about composition, and people who just want to make the coolest music possible,
right?
Put it in a pack and let somebody else worry about making it a trap beat. You know what I mean? And I think that's the most beautiful part about sample making, when you approach it from because like me, for example, I like my shit be sounding like John Carpenter and horror movie scores and 90s action movies, because that's the stuff I grew up with as a kid, and that's the stuff that resonates with me. And I don't ever have to sit down, in front of my keys and be like, oh, I need to make something that, Nardo Wick drums will sound good under. I just make something that sounds good to me, and then in a different session I'll turn it into a rap beat.
Hold on, let me make a quick disclaimer about it, everything. So you can find this course down in the description below, but because I know Weaver Beats is in here and this is his favorite topic, it is an affiliate link, which means that if you make a purchase through the link, I will get a percentage. So this channel greatly appreciates you for that, but like anybody else, hello, Weaver. Like anybody else, I don't bring anybody on here unless I have scouted it myself, unless I have seen myself using it for myself and seeing benefits in it. And I'm telling you right now, no product that I've ever got from CMP has been something that wasn't extremely valuable to my level of experience. So don't know where you're at on the road, but I stand by it 1,000%. I stand by him because he's a stand-up individual. But for full disclosure, hello, Weaver Beats. It is an affiliate link.
I'm gonna tell you like this, bro.
I just love doing that because he's here. That's all.
Yo, I I ain't scared. I ain't scared of Weaver. My shit slaps, bro. So I'll give Weaver a free access to sample class, and he could look at it and try to make a video clowning my shit, because that's how much I stand behind it, bro. Like if anybody was to get this course and they were like, yo, I'm not getting, the value of the ticket that you're charging for it, I'll give you your money back. You know what I mean? Because
this day in news,
because I stand on that shit, bro.
And you should.
And I already made it. You know what I mean? So I'm not losing nothing behind it. You know what I mean?
We like
also,
yeah. Go ahead.
For you guys that are getting into selling shit online, especially like you industry guys who are watching now, like if somebody asks for their money back, give them their money back. These are digital goods. It's not hurting you. Like these are not physical goods. Like everything gets a 100% money back guarantee, bro. And you ain't losing nothing behind it.
I'm glad you said that, because we live in an era now where that kind of fuckery cannot exist much longer. You're in a place now where if a company as big as American Airlines can have a passenger that hops off the plane and says, I had a terrible experience, you guys treated a pregnant woman all wrong, and it can go supremely viral, and that person is not a content creator, what's stopping those customers of yours from leveraging this space called the internet to put that out there and have an effect on your bottom line, which is obviously what you care about? So even if it's not about doing the right thing, because I know some folks are just not wired like that, just know that everything has shifted. Everything has shifted, and you cannot play the fuckery games. The space is not it don't just fall into that's just politics in here. That's not what happens. So yes, I 1,000% echo what you're saying about get these people their money. If that's what your promise is, and run it up.
Yo, just real quick on some like I had I don't know if it was from China or Japan or Korea or something, but it was those letters I see come up on the Shopify. The order looked weird, and they hit me up, and they was like, "Yo, man, like the cart was messed up, and I was waiting for this one kit to go through, and I made a mistake." But they were so like, but it was my fault, and I'm sorry for bothering you. And I had to be like, no, bro.
Mm.
If you made a duplicate purchase, let me know. I'll refund it. I don't care that you already got the download, bro.
Right.
It's just because you never know, Curtis. Like people, like especially like people who are people got fixed incomes. You know what I mean? Like
Facts.
It's not easy out here right now. People don't have a lot of money.
So true.
Right now. And yeah, bro, you open yourself up to goofballs who could abuse the system. But if I'm just saying, if you guys are out here doing this and hopefully to like participate in e-commerce one day and get you a little bit of money, just know that it's not worth it to like deny somebody a refund.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be better for your business to do good customer service and operate off that standard. And I know that that's not going to apply to everybody here, but
yeah,
there's definitely people who need to hear that.
Either do that or become news. Man, bro, I greatly appreciate you. I'm glad. I feel like this is the longest we've ever had a conversation. But what an amazing platform to or what amazing event for that to happen, man. I look forward to building with you more. It's so dope to see folks that care, that give a shit about the music, and your passion is undeniable. It's something that no matter what, even when you was pointing some critique in my direction, it's not something I never question. I only care enough to even respond to something I see from people who care about this shit. The folks that just come in and just disrupt it, like I don't get it. You love this, bro. And because of that, I love this too. And I know at the end of the day, especially for all these amazing human beings, shout out to the human beings in here. Y'all want to win, and we want you to win in whatever capacity that applies to. I think it's important. So once again, make sure that you go down below to the affiliate links, the affiliate links down below, and look into it, sign up. I'm sure there's a lot of things on there that will pique your interest. I myself have been using the ripcord joints that you got. I've been using, I know that's not specific for the courses, but I've been using a lot of the music related stuff, man. And you just supremely talented, and it's dope to have you in this space with that full autonomy.
Yeah, man, it's definitely a blessing, bro. I appreciate the flowers.
Of course.
Anytime you want to you want to do it again, just hit me up. We can go.
Look, as long as you ain't suggesting no Apollo twin to me, I'm good, bro.
Yo, I'm so sorry about that, bro. I didn't. I
had to lay that in there.
I did not understand the struggles that UAD had with PCs, bro.
It's not even that, bro. You know what it is? It's the fact that I'm a dumbass Windows user and I'm never changing. That's what it really comes down to. I'm never gonna get a Mac.
I ain't want to say it.
I can say it. Accountability.
Yo, because I remember I was looked at. I remember you posted that picture and you went to the store and you got some equipment, and I was like, dog, why is he taking a Scarlett to a 5-bedroom house in California? This shit don't make sense. But
no,
I understand,
but bro, you did that though. But you get do you get that you're the only person that's willing to call me out on that, and I respect it, because it's like not everybody carries that energy. I remember I came into your chat. Shout out to your chat and your community and those who are tuning in. I got jumped in there, rightfully so.
Yeah,
Because I came in there and I started talking, and they was like, no, Curtis, hold on, Mr. Focus Right. And I looked at it, and it was a conversation about, man, you have afforded to be at a certain stage of your career. It's time to upgrade these things. And I think what I'm learning now, bro, I spent more on video equipment than I have music equipment because now I'm a content creator.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this Symphony desktop, which is what I had to go through the Apollo Twin to get here, that plus this TLM 103 is the best I've ever sounded on anything that I've ever had. So it was a roundabout way, but that conversation led me to my best audio presentation. And what better time than before I started streaming regularly on my channel. So I'm appreciative. I was just like, when I got that, bro, I was over there taking pictures like a side chick. I had that damn Apollo. I was like, y'all thought I wasn't gonna get that Apollo Twin. I put up, you know how like the ladies might put like a picture of a ring sitting on top of a Mercedes-Benz steering wheel. That's how I felt like. I was like, oh, look at the lights and all that, bro. But then I looked and I was like, yeah, this shit, bro, is not gonna work for this PC head of mine.
You know what we got to do? We just got to get you a preamp to match that TLM 103, and you'll be set, bro.
I got kids, bro. Why you doing this? Man,
come on, bro, it's 2 bands.
Come on, it's the just. It wasn't nothing you said after that. It's just, you know. I saw a young lady on Instagram. She said, my daddy always taught me that when somebody say all you got to do, y'all both going to jail. And that is how a producer go broke right there.
Yeah. No.
Much love to you, bro. Is there any last words, or how can people connect with you here?
The last thing I wanted to say is, if any of you guys are interested in an outlet, because like I said before, I never got a chance to go to this. Like Craftmaster Productions is not me. Craftmaster Productions is the collective that works on CMP Kids. So if you guys are looking for a place to place your products, you know what I mean? I offer the most generous split. Like, I offer an insane split. It is favorable going your way. It's bigger than 50-50. Just reach out to me and hit me up. But here's the thing, right? I don't fucking hold hands. You gotta be ready.
Good.
It ain't do never hit me up and be like, hey, I've got this idea and I think that, no. This is everybody who works with me. Mm-hmm. They've said, hey man, I got this thing done. You want to put it on the site, and then we build a relationship from there. This is the first time that I've actually said this out, on a platform. I don't even advertise it on my platform.
That's dope.
Because I don't like to solicit people to work with me. I want you to want to work with me.
Want to attract that. I get it.
You know what I mean? But since I'm here and you've got such a reach, I don't know, maybe there's someone out there who's looking for that opportunity. But if you're looking, if you're looking for a place to get samples off, but I just gotta warn you, just putting it on the store isn't gonna get you no sales. Like, you gotta be ready to work. You gotta be ready to make content on your Instagram and branch out. But I can definitely provide the platform. The store, the payments are instant.
How can they reach out? Where do they reach out specifically for that?
Just send me a DM on @Craftmaster3, not 33, @Craftmaster3 on Instagram. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. And if you got packs, if you're curious about well, what do I do for a pack and how do I put it together and shit like that, buy a pack from the site.
You're gonna see. Y'all gonna learn something today.
And then do what we did. You know what I'm saying?
You gonna learn.
If you can do that, that's my level of hazing, right? That's my level of gatekeeping. If you can pull yourself in, if you can invest $27 in your career, see how I put together a pack, then you put together a pack the same way. We could build a relationship. But if you're not willing to do that, it's just not going to be compatible, because I'm so direct in how I do things. I'm just going to wind up hurting your feelings, and that's okay, bro. It's not for everybody.
Some of y'all need to get y'all feelings hurt. Some of y'all be so worried about scams that you ain't never seen. You ain't never seen a real scam yet.
Yo, CMP ain't ever scammed nobody. All I ever did was put money in people's pockets and gave them an opportunity to buy mugs and profits, bro. I'm telling you.
And I think that's a good way to end it, because I look at the content creators that you brought even to your Craftmaster YouTube that have shared, that you say these are folks that are a part of the team, man, and every one of them have been fired. So to me, that's a product of obviously their skill set and obviously of great leadership in what you're doing, man. Salute to you, bro. Just know that you always got support on this end. If there's ever anything new that's coming up and you want to come back and have a conversation, by all means. Hopefully by the time we talk again, the Lakers are NBA champions. The Heat have figured out their situation and got to the second round. Jimmy Butler plays more than one round. Like, hopefully this life gets back to normal, you know?
This man act like we weren't in the fucking Eastern Conference Finals, bro.
What is that?
What are you talking about right now?
That year didn't exist. It was post-pandemic.
That was last year, buddy. That was last year. #1 seed in the East. I'm sick of you, bro.
Look. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I will say the most beautiful time I ever had in my life, bro, was in Miami. Miami is, I'm going to just say it's beautiful out there. Well, Florida, that part of Florida was fire. But that being said, man, much love to you, bro. And we thank you for being on here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. This will go up on all of the podcast distributors. Y'all have a good night. Peace out.